Atomica, why are you low on HP? Also, I need to turn the sound down because, oh, that's probably too far down low. There. Why are you low on HP? What's going on with that? I don't want you low on HP. I want you full of HP. Hi, everybody. I am Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole. It is Saturday, and we are playing the Outer Worlds, and there's stuff to talk about, I think. Let's see. There were some people talking, and one of the things is, so here's the thing. Hey, Prax. It's right now, we have a community goal that's running, and I wanted to tell you about it before we get into all the other business. And the Hejavai, Wizard Styles, burning bridges is what resistors do. So there's a community goal. We have, you get extra credit here by just hanging out in the channel. And at the moment, we have a community goal, which is to raise 150 extra credit points, which you get by just being here, so that our French resistors in the RPG campaign I'm running on Fridays, the City of Light and Shadows, can get the 5 radios, wireless radios they need from London. They have, how do I put this? Upset one of their main contacts with London, an influential courier, codenamed Falstaff. They upset him by trying to attack him, and he doesn't like that, So help from London will be good in getting them those radios, is what I'm going to say. He likes them now. He gives them. They have some. He likes them now, for the moment. They've also broken a bottle over his head. Like, they've done a lot that he is. As long as Mr. Wanda Punch Your Face has to give them the radios. See, that's the thing. Hey, Dutch Teddy. He's not. Falstaff is such a baby. Can't even take a little salt between friends. Carlin says, look, Falstaff wanted to not be attacked. He shouldn't have been a racist, sexist asshole. Here's the thing. It's probably not good to smash a bottle in the face and physically attack a person who reports to your boss. I'm just saying. Yeah, here's the thing. If I were to attack my boss at work with a bottle, I don't think it would work out well for me. This is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So, that's all I'm saying. That's I'm just noting it. Let's see. Oh no, Ice Bunny, I'm sorry you have a migraine. That's awful. And Atomic, I threw out my right shoulder last weekend. Oh, that's no good. It ended up cascading from one muscle to the next. Ooh, I hate when that happens. Down my right side, across my lower back, and then back to my left shoulder. But like only in one small area at a time. I'm just tired and worn out from it. I am so sorry. That is awful. That's terrible. Oof. Wizard says this is why I prefer shallow hierarchies. Fear people I can't attack with a bottle. That's fair. Rissa says we call them Team Chaos for a reason, and her name is Sylvie. People. Do you know what I wish? I wish I could tell you all the things. Yes, but after over 25 years, I should be used to it by now. I don't know if people ever really get used to being in terrible pain. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's a thing you get used to. I think it probably always hurts. My boss was awesome, though. Put me right on light duty. Oh, good, Atomic. That's good. The timing was the timing was a huge issue, right? I mean, he showed up at the worst possible time, although he didn't know that. There's a lot of timing issues going on there. That is true. But I'm going to tell you, people, I wish I could tell you lots of things. There are things I want to tell you. And I cannot tell you most of those things right now because, why, yes, there are consequences for character choices. Oh, Prax, I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you all of the things. Allegedly, you forget that birthing a human hurts. Not that I believe that. Ice Bunny, what I've heard about that is because your body, a couple of things, your body floods you with lots of drugs, and also nowadays doctors also flood you with lots of drugs. So apparently that like forgetting the pain of the birthing thing is not that you forget the pain of the birthing, it's that a lot of drugs happen in your system naturally occurring drugs to help with that situation. But also the women I know who've given birth also remember it being unpleasant depending on how their birthing process went. I mean, being such a douche right after Regina did what she did. Yeah, but he didn't know that. Who's your favorite character so far? Hey, Red Rum Jiggler. Our heat wave has lessened, that's good, but the local air quality still sucks from the fires and my sinuses are very unhappy. Oh, I'm so, yeah, I've been seeing the footage of the fires over there in California and it's very worrisome. It's very worrisome. Yeah. But Thursday I dumbassed. I felt like 100% better and helped some coworkers and that's when my lower back went out. Ooh, Atomica. Don't push yourself. Give yourself like, once you feel like you're 100% fine, give yourself another day. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. Well, he could have tried. Yeah, but he is though. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of a jerk, but that doesn't mean you get to stab him. Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want. There are just going to be consequences for those actions. I know, novel concept for a Brit. Yeah, the Dutch Teddy, the fires in California have me worried as well. I'm just saying that, I'm just saying, this is, what part of I'm a dumbass? No, that's fair. That's fair, Atomica. But also, you know, Atomica, we sometimes, you know, it's just that this happens sometimes. Not just Cali, Seattle, Washington, and Oregon are in the same boat, but at least the sky here isn't apocalyptically red. Ooh. So, look, we can't talk about it, right? Because spoilers. I'm just saying that if more douches got stabbed, we'd probably have less douches, or we might have more. I'm just saying that, you know, a lot of bullies were themselves bullied, and rather than not being bullies, they just became bullies. So, worrisome. I don't think that him being stabbed is going to make him a nicer person or trust them more. They did have, although they had their conflict and he has a consequence, which means he trusts them more, but that consequence does not last forever. And their behavior is going to, you know, impact some things. So, look, what I want to say is all of the things. There's so many things I want to tell you, but I can't tell you them right now because for reasons. I'm just saying that there are things that I cannot tell you because Regina did try to de-escalate the situation, which is when you know it's gone off the rails. That was Rissa. That's true. But it ended up working out for now. But Red Rum Jiggler says, in the great words of that one random girl that didn't even go to school in Mean Girls, I just want us all to love each other. Just pick up your keyboard and whisper them all to me. Krellin. I kept the benefactor's secret for 6 months. You can trust me to keep it secret. Oh, I can. I'm just gonna tell you that they're like, Ice Bunny says, oh, and Trooper, Animal Crossing would be the game your order heart would be so happy you can get all the things. Your hoarder heart. Oh dear, I'm very glad I'm not in the fight. Yeah. So, look. It's hard. Here's the thing. There are some things that I know that are definitely 100% spoilers, which I will not tell you, but you will find out. And you will find out. You're going to find out before the cast finds out is what I'm going to tell you that. There's some spoilers that you will all find out before the cast finds out. And I'm excited for you all to find out some things. But look, I don't think I will find out. I haven't even watched the first episode of VOD yet. Well, this is going to be a thing, though. I know, I'm so sorry about the schedule complex. So here's the thing. I need you all. There's only, like, not the whole audience here, but I need you all to be on your best behavior, because you all are going to get some massive, massive, massive spoilers. There won't be spoilers for you because you'll just get them. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not a spoiler when you get them, but you're going to. Am I normally not, says Orma Shuriken? I'm just saying, just reschedule Kolos to Sundays. Scheduling. Look, what I'm going to tell you is some things are going to come out on stream in the solo episodes that you will all know that the rest of the cast will not know. And I need you all to not tell the rest of the cast when you find out various things, right? Like people have secrets and stuff is going on, and I just need to make sure, like, you just can't tell them. You just can't tell them. Just be very on your toes for things, that's all. I did make the cast promise not to watch the solo episodes. I said, don't watch the solo episodes because, you know, I want you all to be like, or can I sure, because I can never tell anybody anything. Because look, if the players in character want to share the things that happen to them, they can do that. But there's some things they probably, the cast just doesn't need to know unless it comes out in game. In other words, keep your filthy mouth shut. Yeah, you all need to be complicit in the conspiracy. Oh yeah, Trooper struggling with sharing spoilers, real life. This is real life. Okay, but here, there are two things. One, there's spoilers that I know about that that I know and I can't tell you, but then there's the other category. The other category, which is like, and it is this one. Okay, but once I wash my mouth, I could talk, right? The other category of spoilers is there are things that I don't know if they're going to happen or not, right? Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I just hear the cast talking, and I think to myself on stream, and like they're like, oh, we can do this and this, and we'll do this. This will be our plan. And my thought is, oh, oh, I need to make a note. I need to make a note, and I need to make a note so I don't forget. I'm gonna put it in my phone. I need to go and pick up something for Origami Shuriken's game. That's all. Because I've got to get something for Origami Shuriken's game, because I'm gonna be guesting on her show. I don't know when it's gonna air, but yeah, I don't know when it's gonna air, but okay. I just had to remind myself I had to get some, like, costume pieces. That's all. Dusty carefully binds a cover over Krellin's mouth. I've gotten excellent plot hooks from listening to my cast talk amongst themselves. Same face you had in the meeting for redacted. Just tell me you're not planning a horrible end for Hannah's granny. Look, here's what I'm going to tell you. You know, there are many different ways to GM, is what I want to tell you. There are many different ways to GM. And the way that I'm GMing City of Light and Shadow, which is different than I would GM Cthulhu Confidential, is a GMing of emergent narrative and action and reaction. And so I don't plan. The NPCs plan, and then there are reactions to the player's actions. My NPCs have plans. They have quite a few plans, but they also don't know everything, right? There's a lot of information they don't know. Now, if the players do things to give that information to the NPCs, then the NPCs have information and then we'll make new plans. And those plans may not be good plans for them, but also actions have consequences. Hey, PH. I've had a stressful day. Is everyone here doing okay? I'm going to unwind by listening to Trooper talk about stuff. Welcome in, PH. It's good to see you. You know, PH, I want to just say on stream that I appreciate the good work you're doing when you go off out in the world shopping and you see racist stickers on light posts and you take them down. I think that's pretty cool, and I appreciate that. That's what I wanted to tell you. Look, I'm gonna just say something. Right now, the player characters are making plans in-game, out loud. They're like, oh, we could do X, Y, and Z. And I keep thinking, ooh, ooh, yeah, go and do that. But I'm just gonna say, if they do those things, there's some things they want to do that if they do, will not be good for them. That's all. Won't be good for them. But hey, oh yeah, I'm just saying that there's just like, but you know what though? Here's the thing. Oh, and I was talking to somebody about this. Somebody was like, you know when you talk to people, and somebody was like, hey, but like, you know, these are the heroes of the story and heroes are supposed to win at the end. And I was like, what? Killing the head Gestapo out in public isn't good for them? Look, some things might not be good for them. Krellin, some things might be bad ideas. Some things might be bad ideas. That's, I mean, I'm just saying. And I was talking to him, he's like, yeah, but heroes win at the end. And I was like, yeah, this is not a book though. They might, or they might not. I don't know. Rissa says, and to be honest, my own Cthulhu GM brain keeps thinking of horrible things that could happen. Yeah. And I'm just going to tell you, something. And this is something that, you know what's really, okay, can I say something that's really cool about a streamed RPG? And I just want to say this because some of you all have evil GM brains. And okay, I hope at least one of them lives. I hope all of them live. I don't know what's going to happen though, because emergent narrative. So here's something that I think is actually really cool about a streamed RPG game that I really appreciate, because, you know, I keep the chat up while I keep actually the player chat up and then also the stream chat up, as well as, you know, I have a bunch of windows up when I'm GMing. And I cannot read stream chat like every single comment while we're playing because I'm also managing a bunch of other stuff. But I try to watch the chat as it's going on to see what y'all are talking about, because A, you might be telling me that there's an audio problem, so I have to pay attention to that. But also, you know, I'm interested in what you're having to say. Although again, I usually have to go back and watch the VOD when I'm taking notes and read the chat more carefully then. But I pay attention as best I can during the show itself. Tomorrow, my players are about to board a stranded spaceship that was recently attacked by a space shark. Oh, look, we got to top of the space mermaids. It's not a given PH. Team Chaos can be their own worst enemy. Oh, they can be their own worst enemy. And my question is, how bad are they going to make it for themselves? I have some questions. So we blame Oceanus for singing the song, and you should, because Oceanus is there for them, and when I get more free time, I'll jump back in if you need me. Okay, look, so here's something that I discovered that I think is really cool about streamed RPGs that is not the same as a GM, that's not the same as like a non-streamed RPG. And it is this. Players sometimes get really in their space, and I think Regina needs to have a chat with Luke before everything goes pear-shaped. So the thing is, players sometimes get in there, like they get really internal, do you know what I mean? Like they get inside their space, and sometimes as a GM you give them clues, like you give them hints that maybe something bad might, you know, that maybe they're making some poor choices, or maybe there's some badness on the rise, maybe there's a bad moon on the rise. I'm just saying that sometimes you get, sometimes as a GM, you might have an NPC say something or do something, or you might have indications that there might be negative possibilities happening in the future if they do things, just depending. And sometimes the players are so in their mind, in their space, that they don't pick up on it, even if you say it a couple of times in different ways. But the audience often will pick up on it. And so as a GM, one thing that I've discovered that I love about the streamed RPG is that when players don't pick up on foreshadowing, the audience often does, and at least they'll talk about it, so I know that somebody has picked up on the fact that maybe some things might be a problem, and to have somebody witness that there are some problems rising when the players don't, at least makes me feel better. Somebody sees that maybe there's some problems happening, and there's some kind of really, and then like on a meta level, there's this real delicious irony when the players don't see the iceberg, but the audience does, right? It's like, we talk about dramatic irony, and like, this is like really interesting. It's really interesting because when you think about dramatic irony, right, where the fictional characters in a book don't see a thing that the reader does, we're actually having this really cool thing of dramatic irony where actual real live human beings are not seeing the thing because they're so wrapped up in their internals, but the audience does see it in real time. And that's kind of amazing. And I don't think you get that in any other instance than like a streamed RPG. Like, I think that is a thing. Note, by the way, side note, also, I'm going to read your comments. There's a lot of discussion that happens amongst people about streaming RPGs. I'm going to read your comments right now. I'm going to get distracted by them, and then I'm going to come back to it. All of season 2 of Black Flag is just a season of consequences. Prax, that is my life. That sounds like delicious, delicious breakfast for me, and I love it. I hope we get a season 2 of Dark Matter because I have so many ideas. Oh, I hope so too. That would be great. Wizard says, it's easy to develop a kind of in-character tunnel vision that makes you act less rational than the actual character probably would. Wizard Styles, yeah. Although it's tricky because I also think these characters are in a really kind of, yes, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, I'm just gonna like base level. My base comment is agreeing with you, Wizard Styles, yes. Although I would also say that I think the characters themselves are under a lot of stress, and so it makes sense to me. But like, ooh. Krell's like, I don't know, I think having a PC say things is bad GMing. Hey, sometimes the NPCs, they say things. I know. Scabby Neck, yeah, foreshadowing is like a bad relationship. It's so much more obvious from the outside looking in. Yes. Bad choices are the bread and butter of RPGs. You mean wandering off with a smuggler without at least telling your team that you're running an errand? Hey. It was a general statement, not really about yesterday's. No, but see, Wizard Styles, it's so interesting because I think you're right, and that sort of tunnel vision is really interesting. Some people don't have it. Some people can sort of like stick meta, but people often get a kind of an interesting tunnel vision when playing their characters, and that tunnel vision is really interesting as a phenomenon, and what you do about that, and like it makes me think about it like as a player, like, okay, when do I have that tunnel vision? What can I do to try to combat that tunnel vision so I can at least, right? And I think that it's hey Schmelzer, and I think it's tricky, right? Because I think it's tricky because how do I put this? So I'm going to say a thing and I'm going to disagree with what I'm going to say, right? So I'm going to say it, but I actually think I don't agree with what I'm about to say. Although it could be partially true, but I think it's mostly not, but I'm going to say it anyway. And that is, I think it might be true for some people. I think some people are so although I don't think this is what we're talking about. I actually think what you're talking about, Wizard Styles, is totally separate from what I'm going to say right now. So I think this is why I disagree with what I'm going to say. Although I think what I'm going to say is kind of true, but I think it's not relevant. But I think it is relevant. I think it's relevant, but I think it's not related. Okay, so I think that some players are so nervous about metagaming, like they really don't want to metagame, so they'll make choices that are not the best choices because they don't want to metagame. And I think that that's a true statement, but I actually think it's different from what you're talking about, Wizard Styles, which is the tunnel vision that players sometimes get. And I think that I think those things are related, right? They're in the same realm of players making choices that are questionable because they're afraid of metagaming. So I think players make bad choices for different reasons, right? I think there are different categories of bad choice making, all of which are super interesting, really, like, for example, there are players that will make bad choices that they know are bad choices because they know that is what their character would do, but they as players know it's a bad choice, right? There are players that will make bad choices that their character may not actually make, but they do it because they're afraid of being accused of being a metagamer, right? That makes me sad personally when someone's like, well, I realize that the Count, Dracula, invited me into his house super late at night, and everybody has gone missing recently, and he keeps, like, I keep finding blood on his shirt, but I'll just go in the middle of the night and I won't do anything that would make sense because I don't want to be accused of metagaming, right? That's like a bunch of bad choices that are not necessarily in character, in genre choices, but they're choices that people are making out of fear of being accused of being a metagamer, and that makes me sad. But then there's what Wizard Styles is talking about, which is like this player tunnel vision. And I really am excited by what you're saying, Wizard Styles, a lot. I'm very excited about this concept of you getting so, I was calling it blinders. Because people talk about bleed, where like you are feeling the feelings of your character and vice versa. And I wanted to not talk about bleed, but I've come up with this concept called blinders, which is not that you feel the same feelings as your character, but that you cannot see outside of your character's frame. I'm calling it like bleed and blinders. So blinders is this concept that I'm working on. I should probably make some kind of blog post about it at some point in time. And when people say, oh, bleed can be a problem in a game, and I was like, well, it can be, but bleed can be fine, right? Like the problem I find is if you have bleed and blinders, right? So like I think blinders is more of a problem than bleed, right? So for example, hey, Atomic Cup Pizza. So I want to talk about bleed and blinders because I think this is like really, really interesting. Because everyone's like, oh, bleed is terrible. I was like, well, hold on. I think that bleed could be not terrible. The problem I think is blinders. And blinders is when you cannot see outside of your character's frame, So if you have bleed, like, so for example, my character Livewire that I'm playing over on a Laugh Love Lindy's channel, GM'd by White Rabbit Pick, Alice, faked his death, did not tell his fiance. So his fiance for the last 2 years thought he was dead. Awkward. And there's a lot of guilt involved in that faking of the death, and I personally feel guilty about it. But I know that I am not my character. And while I feel that guilt, it's sort of like vicarious guilt, right? Like it's like one would call it bleed in the sense that like I'm feeling the feelings that my characters are feeling, but I have no blinders on. I do not think that I'm my character. I know that guilt that I'm feeling is not my guilt as a person. It's my character's guilt that I'm feeling vicariously. Like if my character feels sad and I feel sad, that's cool. But I know that we're not the same person, and I can see outside of my character's frame of reference. Like I know that my character should not have made that choice. Like I know why my character made that choice, but that was a selfish choice. Do you know what I mean? Like that was not a good choice. So I can critique my character, and I know that my character is not necessarily right about things. And so I don't have my blinders on when it comes to my character. And I find that problems start happening when you're super blinded, Like when you have a hard time being able to critique your character or see where your character did wrong or see that your character is not you. Origami says, I dropped a plot hook a while ago and it took weeks for the player's characters to remember it was a thing, partly because we've had some time off, but partly because they end up doing other things. That certainly happens. PH said, I had an off-stream RPG game yesterday with the Open for Adventure people, which was organized to judge if the GM would be suited to stream with them. Oh. It was also my first time there, so I was also being judged. We both passed, and it was a great game, but it was a strange experience being judged in that way. PH. That's interesting. That's interesting, PH. I have thoughts about that, but they are not, they're not fully formed yet. But this is an intriguing topic that I want to keep percolating my brain. Like, you're giving me, like, thoughts right now about this, and I want to think about that and ponder it. Like, what do I think about that? I have thoughts about it. Yeah. Also, I just heard a thing what I'm gonna have to turn off. There's I heard a little alert sound, and I don't want to hear alert sounds when I am you know, streaming. I don't like it. Let's see. Let me. Like, if I close that, I think that'll go away, and I can get back to the stream because I want to see the comments. Okay, I want to come back to this about being judged. This is interesting. I'm going to say a thing, but I'm going to disagree with him about to say it's such a true statement. Well, but right, you know. Yeah. Wizard Styles, I often get that tunnel vision when I have a really specific vision for the character I'm playing because those characters are almost monolithic when real people are not. You mix that with commitment to the character and sometimes it results in behavior that's unrealistic, but it often works for the game. Yeah, and oftentimes you can't see it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's the tunnel vision you're talking about, right? Like you get these blinders on, right? Like, you know, and so you cannot see the hole you're digging yourself in sometimes. He's just a hemophiliac, says PH of Dracula. Krone says, players making bad choices and knowing it's a bad choice, but it's what their character would do is why our rogue traders had to fight an Elder Wraithguard last week. And actually, I love it when players make bad choices that they know are bad choices, but it's what their character would do. Like, I love that. That actually, for me, is great. Or making good choices that they know their character would make, right? Like, you know, like, I just think that it's important to, hey, Anino, I think it's just important to sort of Barontor, almost like the choices that horror movie characters make. Yeah, I think it's important to sort of like, I think it's important not to have blinders, right? I love Bleed, I love immersing myself in the highs and lows of my character. It does stop when the game is over though. Right, and I think that's the difference. That's the difference, right? So I think that you need to have the difference between, like, you need to not have blinders on. I think that you can have bleed and have catharsis and have vicarious feelings and all that is fine, but the problem happens when you have blinders on and you have a hard time separating yourself from your character or your characters, and that's not the same thing as feeling their same feelings, right? PH is like, same, when I was done and passed, I was like, yes, yay, this was a good test though. Did this mean anything? I want to come back to that, PH. Oh no, Ice Bunny game is going to happen. We just started streaming. We haven't even hit, we're just in our 30 minutes. Come on now. Vulpus says, but for in-game play, does not having some blinders help for RP to keep for letting OC info influence your game? Noting when to take off the blinders is an important part. Vulpus, here's my thought on that. Just made the very first post of my new Kobold game. Ooh, very nice, Atomica. Origami says, now all of our various plot lines are coming together. I'm excited to see how it plays out. Oh yeah, me too. PH, in that game yesterday, my wizard made the, on my part, intentional bad choice of casting in large on the fighter while we were in a small room. That caused some hilarious problems. So the thing is, Vulpes, no. Actually, I don't think so. I think that people's and this, I think some of this comes from maybe old school playing where like OOC metagaming was like the worst thing you could ever do. I actually think that the paranoia of being accused of metagaming makes play worse. I think so there are some things that players do not know that I do not want them to know. Not because I'm afraid they're going to metagame, but because it will have a lot more impact emotionally for them if they don't know certain things. and also so this like when I don't want how do I put this, when I want to remove spoilers, it's not because I'm afraid of the metagaming. It's because I do not want the emotional impact of what's probably going to happen to be lessened. Like, I want them to be able to have the full feels. Like, I want to give them the full feels. And so there are some spoilers that I don't mind them having because it's not going to impact their emotional impact at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's fine, because it's cool. It's not bothersome. And also, like, sometimes players will tell me, like, oh, hey, you know, I'm hoping that, like, we can do these things this season. And usually my response is, like, sometimes players will, like, in an emergent game, sometimes players, and this is really interesting. Gosh, now I'm getting distracted, but I do want to make this point. It's really interesting because there are players who will never tell the GM what they want. And I feel like we should normalize players telling GMs what they want, what they really, really want. And I'm very lucky and happy that my players tell me what they want. The only problem is that I'm running this as an emergent narrative. So when they tell me the things they want, I'm usually like, well, that's fine, go and do that. Like I'm not gonna stop you. You know what I mean? Like, if you want, like, someone's like, I want to do this, and I was like, okay, do it. Like, I'm not like, you do it. Like, I'm not gonna stop you. It's cool. Like, so some of these things they don't actually have to tell me because I'm actually very open for them doing whatever they want to do. I mean, if they want to tell me, that's cool. I'm happy to know. But just do it. Like, I'm not gonna stop you. Like, I'm gonna give you the space to do what you want to do. That's cool. But like, I appreciate them telling me anyway. Nonetheless, so like sometimes they tell me they want to do these things, which is cool, and it doesn't. Like, that might be a spoiler, but first off, we don't know if what they want is actually what's going to happen. But it doesn't ruin any emotional impact, right? Because they're sort of on that themselves. So there's some spoilers that, like, it's fine because it's not going to impact their emotional impact. But there's some things I want to hold back from them because of emotional impact. Do you know what I mean? So there's that. The cast of Light and Shadows know how the war is going to go. They do. Right, and that's fine, right? That's totally fine. The Foxhole's coming over to hang out with friends and hang out. That's true. Wizard Style says, yeah, I think it's important to understand bleed and blinders, and be critical of people always demanding complete dedication to doing what the character would do. Doing what the character would do is important because you're playing a role, not a real person. But a real person always acting 100% in line with their morals and motivations does not exist. And I think it's important to note that. I think it's I think it's tricky, right? Because I think the idea of like what my character would do sometimes is, to go to your point, Wizard Styles, is often based on a flawed understanding of your character. And I think it's important to, as a player, to understand that characters are people, are complicated, and might do multiple things. A character might do more than one thing, right? If somebody attacks my character might respond more than one. There's like more than one way that my character might respond, and I need to think about that a little bit. That's all, right? That's all. No, don't worry about the typing. Don't worry about the typing, Ice Bunny. Cynical says, damn, I was just saying, tell me what you want. Get out of my head. No, I'm in your head. That's it. That's it, Cynical. Trooper, you know what I really want. I know you want a Zigga Zigga. I think we all want a Zigga Zigga, clearly. By the way, typing that caused me to crash into an asteroid and die, and I'm okay with that. Fair. Atomic says, a good example, my player Delta made the request that he wanted to find his father's sword at some point. I was able to build an entire hook and story development into the story because he let me know that desire. Yeah, and that's good. Like, let me know those things. If I know that's important to you, I can help facilitate that, right? I mean, you still have to do the work, right? If you, like, here's the thing, if you say that you want to find your father's sword and then you never do anything to find your father's sword, there's not much I as a GM can really do about that. But if I know that that's important to you, I can help facilitate that, but it's still going to be on you. And emotional impact will still be there because you don't know what's going to be like when you actually find it and what and I don't necessarily know either as a GM. So that's exciting. And we get to have that moment together. He's in your head, trooper. Anyway, so I think that, so the thing is I think that, also to finish that thought, Volpez, here's the thing about being in character. My background is in theater, and I did a bit of TV as well. But right, so like that's my acting background, and Origami Shuriken says, Anino Gaming keeps reminding his other GMs about all the plot knives he's handed them. I wonder if he thinks I'm not going to use the ones he gave me. So blinders? What was I gonna say? What was it? Like Tikura's search for a dad. Yeah, Tikura's search for a dad. Yeah, I mean, she was searching for a dad. That didn't end up the way she thought it would, and that was great. And I loved that. Like, I liked not knowing. I was glad that I didn't know that, so I could be in the moment and I could enjoy that. That was really fun for me. But wait. Plot, blinders, in character. Wait. I had a thought. I was going to go somewhere with this. Bleed. Oh, yes, theater. That's what it was. Right, so my background's in theater, right? So my background's in theater, and here's the thing. If you learned, like, the American method, Strasberg and, Adler and all of them, the American method's about, like, bringing up your real feelings so that you can portray real feelings effectively outwardly. There are other styles of acting that don't think that's what you should be doing. They think that's self-indulgent and doesn't necessarily carry. But nonetheless, the point is, no matter what you're doing on stage, no matter plot knives, what a fun word. Plot knives is a fun word. Your background are two bookshelves. Two bookshelves do not a theater make. That is fair. But here's my point, though. When you're doing theater, and this is an important thing, no matter how into your character you are, no matter how deep in your character you are, you always have to remember that when you're on stage, you gesture with your upstage hand and not your downstage hand. Because if you gesture with your downstage hand, that closes you off to the audience. You have to remember, no matter how deep in character you are, you have to remember to project your voice to the back of the theater. You have to remember your lines and your blocking. You have to remember all of these meta things. If you are so in character that you do not remember your lines, your blocking, not to upstage your fellow actors, not to use your upstage hand when you're gesturing, not to make sure, like if you're gonna do stage combat, you have to remember that you don't actually hit people. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna strangle the person, you're not actually strangling them, it's fake. You know what I mean? Like, it's fake stage combat. If you forget because you're so in character and you actually hit someone, you are bad at your job. Like, that's bad. If you're doing film, you have to remember that you have to hit your mark. You have to walk across the room and stop where there's a little X on the floor, or else the cameras can't get you. You have to be always aware of this meta information, always, or you are not good at your job. No matter how deep in character you go, you must always be aware of the meta. And this is actually, method is how the acting class I took was taught. Method has kind of taken over American acting teaching for quite a long time. There are some other styles they're not taught as often anymore, and oftentimes they're looked down on, but they're really interesting, and I actually think they're very cool. I think a lot of the non-method styles are very, very cool. There's still people who are non-method, but like deliberate teaching of some of these other methods is not done as much because the method style has really taken over. Which actually goes back to Diana Rigg, interestingly enough. Oh, I'm having internet connectivity situations. We're gonna go here. Hopefully that'll fix it up. There, that's better. So we're better now. Yeah, so like the point is that if you're gonna do your job right, you actually always have to have a part of your mind that is outside of your character, or else you can't do your job right. And I actually think it's the same thing with RPGs, in that you can never be so into your character that you forget that there are other players at the table, that there are other players at the table. Do you know what I mean? Like, I actually think that having a meta awareness is really important. You can't have blinders on in the end, right? And the thing about bleed is you could be a player that has no bleed at all, who never feels the feelings of your character, but if you have super heavy blinders on where you always think your character is completely right and you can never see outside of your character and you don't realize you're at a table with other people, it's still going to be a problem, right? I would rather have somebody who has bleed but does not have blinders than somebody who has blinders but has no bleed, because the problem is not that you feel vicarious feelings. The problem is that you cannot think about the other people at the table, right? That becomes the problem. That becomes the problem. Let me see what I missed. Yes. Plot knives. Star Wars. Origami says, I mean, when I did 12th Night, we had 2 benches and an arbor on the stage. That was it. Oh, I love a good spare. I like a really good spare staging sometimes. You can't see the minute proscenium between the 2 bookshelves. Method is, it was 1 bench with 2 sides. I have to string my fellow actors. I am Method. And you're like, no, don't do that. Oh, PH. Thought about that. Jared Leto is not good at his job. That's what I would say, right? That's what I would say. It all comes back to Rick, and it does, actually. If you're acting like Jim Carrey filming Man in the Moon, you can F right off. But, you know, that's actually about, I think that is about fragile masculinity, and we can talk about that in a second. Oh, we're gonna have interesting topics today. Have to make sure you talk loud enough to be heard, even if not 100% in character. Yes, Shabai, that's correct. If you're so in character that no one can hear what you're saying, you are not good at your job. You're not good at your job. Jared Leto wasn't the best Joker. That was Nicholson. PH says, Trooper, would you say it's a good idea to play a character that has a purposely flawed worldview so you know from the start in what way they're wrong about things? Ooh, Atomica. You want to see Willem Dafoe as the Joker? Ooh. Atomica. Willem Dafoe as the Joker? Ooh, I like that idea. Ooh. Yeah, Krellin says Dafoe would be an amazing Joker. I think Dafoe would be an amazing Joker. Oh, I'd love to see that. Ooh, that would be good. Oh, I didn't know I wanted that so much, but now I really want it. I would be totally fine with another Batman movie, which usually I don't want to see at all, if I got to have Willem Dafoe as the Joker. Although, you know what? Maybe I'd like to see a Huntress movie. That might be interesting. She'd be the Riddler. Oh, that would be interesting. So, PH, the question that you have is interesting. Or Mad Hatter. Old Riddler. Yeah. PH, that's a really interesting question. Such an interesting question. Do you think you should make a character with a flawed worldview so you know from the start, as a way to sort of make sure? You know, can I tell you something? Here, by the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just walk around in game while I tell you this thing. So one of the things I want to tell you is, this is a thing I want to tell you. So I've been thinking about blinders quite a lot recently because people talk about bleed, and there is some discussion about bleed, not in our game, but in some other games, and like how to combat bleed. And somebody was like, oh, somebody came to me for advice about how to deal with bleed. And I assessed the game and I was like, I don't think the problem is bleed. I think the problem is blinders. And they're like, what is that? I was like, let me tell you my theory about blinders. My theory about blinders is about not being able to sort of see outside of your character's frame of reference, even if you are not like in the fields, but not being able to see when your character is wrong, when your character is stepping on other people's toes. Not being able to get outside of your character's frame of reference is a problem, right? Because that means sometimes you don't share the spotlight when you should be sharing. Because, okay, so it's like cheating to get the game screen. So, yeah, I'm just cheating. Yeah, game screen, right? So when you are... So let me tell you, for those of you who have never actually done theater, live theater, I'm going to tell you what upstaging means. Upstaging is actually a technical term. People now use the word upstaging to mean any time that you steal the spotlight from other people. Like, oh, you're upstaging me, you're stealing the spotlight. But that's not actually, you can use it that way, that's fine. But it actually is a very specific term that means something very specific. And we use it in this broader way, which is fine. I'm not mad. By the way, I'm not mad when when terms get new usages. But I think it's really important to understand the original usage of the term because it is relevant in this moment. So this is what upstaging means. When you're on stage in a theater, and look, please note, the game screen is on, so we're playing. When you're on stage, let's say you're on stage, I want you to imagine that you're standing on a stage and you're looking out at the audience. So from where you're at, you're on stage, looking at the audience. To your left is called stage left. To your right is stage right. Now, this is not the same thing as house right or house left, because if you're in the audience, you're reversing, right? What is left for the audience is your stage right, right? So that's like a thing to note. Now, also, besides, stage left and stage right, you have upstage and downstage. Downstage is towards the audience and upstage is away from the audience. And this was, we use these terms because back in the olden days, stages were often not level. They were often raked so that you could see things a little bit better. And so if you were going farther away from the audience, you were actually going upwards, right? That's a thing. So when you are blocking, if you're a director and you're blocking scenes on theater, what ends up happening is you're supposed to block the actors so that both actors are at the same level when it comes to upstage or downstage. Like if two actors are having a conversation with each other, they should be parallel to each other. If here's the audience and here's upstage, they should be parallel. And then when you're having a conversation with another actor and you are parallel, you cheat, which means you don't actually stand looking at each other like this. You just turn yourself at a 45-degree angle so the audience can see you. So you're both kind of talking a little bit outwards to the audience. Like you're theoretically talking to each other, but instead of looking right at each other, you just turn yourself outward a little bit so that the audience can see you. So this is what you should be doing. Now, as a former spot op, seeing the spotlight is a very specific thing. Yes, it is. It is. So the thing is that what upstaging is, I want you to imagine, so we are both parallel to each other, cheating out a little bit so we can have this conversation, the audience can see us. Upstaging is when an actor who is supposed to be here parallel just steps 1 or 2 steps upstage of the other actor. Just a little upstage, not a whole lot, but like 1 or 2 steps. And when I am now 1 or 2 steps upstage from this other actor, that other actor is going to end up turning so that they can see me a little bit better. And when they turn to see me, they turn upstage. The audience cannot see them, but the audience can see me. So when you upstage another actor, you just take that step backwards, which means that basically all the rest of the actors have to turn to you and they don't get to be seen and you get to be seen by the audience. Rake stages were originally because the audience was on a flat plane, so the stage was angled so everyone could see the whole field. Exactly, right? But now we have raked audiences instead, right? So that's right. So that now works. So the thing is that if you are upstaging your fellow actors, you are making it so they don't get to be seen by the audience, but you do. And that is not okay, right? That's not, that you're not being a good team player. And I think that blinders is something like that, where you put on blinders so you can only see your character's point of view, and from like your character stance. As a player, you can only see that, and so that you cannot see when your character needs to step back. Like you cannot see when your character is upstaging the other players. So blinders is a problem, not because like you feel the feelings of your character, that's fine, as long as you know that you're not your character and you don't take it personal, and like, you know what I mean, as long as you like, I call it like vicarious feelings. As long as your feelings are vicarious, you're fine, right? As long as you're not really mad at the player because your character is mad at the character. Like you can feel mad, that's cool, but as long as you don't carry that outward, you're fine. But there's a problem when you cannot see outside of your character's frame of reference, where you think that and that can lead to upstaging. So PH's question, right? Remember, I'm playing the game. PH's question is, should you make a character with a deliberately flawed worldview to sort of basically make sure that you don't have blinders? And my answer to that is, that depends on if you have a problem with blinders or not. If you, and I think that's also, it's a little bit of like how good you are at self-critique. If you play a character with a flawed worldview and you do not realize that it's a flawed worldview, or you start buying the flawed worldview because it's your character and you have a hard time taking blinders off, that will not help you. I will say, though, that if you have a problem with blinders, making a character with a deliberately flawed worldview will often help, because it's sort of built in that you know that your character is wrong. So hopefully that will help you keep your blinders off. That said, though, I sometimes make a character that has some kind of element in it that I share that I want to be critical of. That, like, I was like, oh, like I value this particular position quite a lot. It's important to me. And so I think I'm going to make a character that has that position so that I can pull myself out of it a little bit. So if you have the ability to do some good self-critical work, then I think you can have a character that has some deliberate similarities to you, as long as you know how to take your blinders off. And that can actually be really useful to help you get outside of your own head sometimes, or maybe be a little bit more self-critical of your own positions. Think about the ways in which the things, like, you know, it can be useful for you to get outside of your own head if you can do that, and then, like, do it. But I think to play a character, oh, come on to my house, come on. Come on to my house, come on. Come on to my house, I'm gonna give you candy. Come on to my house, I'm gonna give you everything. Thank you for that, Kira. Welcome in. Thank you so much. I'm so excited for the host. Thank you. So I think, like, I don't think you have to be completely different from your character in order to avoid blinders. If you have a problem with blinders, then maybe you should. But if you know how to separate, if you know how to take off the blinders, you can have a character that's similar to yourself and use that as a really interesting thought experiment. That's cool. Hello, hello game. Reminds me of someone, this is Origami, describing an actress in a fictional soap opera who would always hold her co-star's face with both hands when there was a kissing scene so that she got more camera time. Right, yeah, don't do that. If you're playing the game, sell most of your food, drugs. So what is Jez's current mission anyway? Well, right now we are exploring this building because we're trying to find the evidence that another corporation is operating on Monarch, so that we can basically help out our peoples. And we just went to this place where we saw the evidence of these corporate people and now we're exploring this room to find this stuff. The evidence of another corporation. I'm doing really well, Kira. Thank you for asking. I think these tips can also be helpful for getting out of your own head and taking a broader perspective in real life situations too. Yes, and so I think that sometimes, it's actually really, I think it's actually really good sometimes to play a character that does have some of your worldviews, as long as you're willing to really sort of interrogate them and take your blinders off. And I think it's actually really good. I think that can be really positive and useful. I've had some good CB therapy sessions that were based on that kind of play. Your turn, my turn. Yeah, right? Like, that's really good. Now, if you cannot do that, then maybe you should not do that. But I think it's a good thing to play with and work on. I think that can be really, really positive and useful. But I was not in a game. I was sort of consulted about a game that was having a problem. And the person who was consulting was like, yeah, I think we have a problem with bleed. And because that's because bleed is the only term that we use. Like, we only use the term bleed, but I think that we should be talking about blinders. And I sort of, like, I was checking it out, and I was like, oh yeah, the bleed is not the problem here. I mean, like, there is some bleed happening here, and some bleed is happening in maybe not the most productive ways, but the main problem is blinders. And so the person asked me, well, what can we do about these blinders? What can we do about this? And I was like, oh gosh, okay, well, let me Let me think. What can we do about blinders? Because I thought about, because this is like this blinders is like this new concept that I'm coming up with. So how do you, and we have exercises for bleed, right? We have exercises for bleed. So what exercises can you do to work with blinders? And I've thought about this a lot, and I've come up with some exercises. So I have some exercises that I've come up with to sort of deal with blinders, and I told them, and I think it's working well. So I'm gonna do some kind of something about this to put this out there. Vulpus says, have fun. And Rissa, make sure you sell stuff today. Stop his hoarder tendencies. I'm out to head to a birthday event. Oh, have a happy birthday event, Vulpes. Have a great event. Have a great event. It's going to be tough to convince a person their own worldview that they share with their character is wrong. So what I'm going to say is, if a person has a problem with blinders, they should not play a character that shares their worldview. That'll be like one thing. If a person has a real problem with blinders, they should just not play that character, because it will probably... it can be a problem, right? It can be a problem. So my recommendation is, don't play a character that is basically a stand-in for yourself if you cannot separate yourself from your character. Just don't do that. Would be my first advice. And that's where, again, I know that it is out of fashion. People think that GM should never say no to things, but if a GM knows that a player has a serious blinders problem, but the player is still a good player, a person they play with, don't let them play themselves. Say no. If you know that them playing themselves is going to cause a problem with the game, say no. And I understand that people are like, GM saying no is bad. I'm going to just say, as a GM, part of your job is to make sure that the game is safe for everyone. And if there are certain choices that would make the game not safe for everyone, I think it's your responsibility to say no. That's my opinion. Anyway, so I have some blinders exercises. And one of my blinders, don't play a character too similar to yourself, no blackguard stab. No, you can if you can manage your blinders. Like, if you can play a character that is similar to yourself and it will not cause problems in the game because you can separate yourself from your character, then we're fine. Do it all you want. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily a problem. Like, again, no absolutes. Do you know what I mean? Some people can do it, some people can't. And if a person can't, it will be a problem. You should probably just say no to that concept. You can still play with them, of course. But Origami says, sometimes no but is just as valid as a yes and. Agreed. So here are 2 exercises that I have to work on blinders. One is one that I do. And it's both it might seem like a bleed exercise, but it actually is a blinder and a bleed exercise. And that exercise is, at the end of the game, I ask my players, and you'll see it in City of Light and Shadow, I ask them to say something they appreciated about another character. Right? So a lot of people will say at the end of a game, you will probably see this in a lot of stream games, like, what was your favorite moment? And people will say, oh, I loved it when my character did this or that. Or they'll say like, oh, and they'll say like the thing that they was like the thing that they enjoyed, but that still keeps you internal. And so I don't ask that question anymore. I don't ask the question of what was your favorite moment, like, you know, yours, because I think that keeps you too internal. And it might help with bleed because it gets you sort of thinking in a meta level, but it doesn't necessarily take your blinders off, because that question, what do you enjoy the most, still can be very internal. So I now ask, tell me something you enjoyed. Give another player a compliment. Tell another player something they did well. And that, for me, is actually a blinders exercise, because it stops them from, it forces the player to stop thinking about their character and the thing they liked and in their character space, and move their point of view to somebody else, to give a compliment to another person, someone who is not them. And so, and that means that they have to come out of their character space and think about how them now as a player likes something that another player did. So that's one of the things that I do as a blinders, exercise, to get them to now start paying attention to other players, because that helps you sort of pull out of your blinders a little bit. Javai says, I feel like never say no relates to D&D style game where everything is assumed kinda, and you create your own character in advance and all that. Never saying no just gets weird when in a more specific setting and game. Everyone, your turn, my turn says, everybody has to listen to one another. Yes. And knowing that I'm going to ask you what you liked about another player means that you have to start listening a little bit. And I agree with that, Javai, but also it also like, I played old school D&D, and like, that also caused problems in old school D&D. There were problems that happened. PH says, in that O4A game, I want to come back to that, when all 5 people in the game had to say something they enjoyed about every other character, it took a while, but still it's a positive experience, yeah. My players frequently do this on their own, yes. Like every other person in the game, not every character. Oh, that's good. Yeah, so like I think it becomes just important to pull, and I think that being able to sort of say what you liked about other players is good, but here's the thing, I also think it's actually really important to say something about other characters, because one of the problems with blinders is that you sometimes cannot get out of your character in the game. So if your character feels like they're being treated unfairly, you as a player start thinking that your character is being treated unfairly. You may like all the other players, but you cannot see that maybe the other characters have valid points, right? You might like the players, but all of a sudden it gets to this point where you like that can be this problem. Yeah, it still gets weird, but at least can be justified to a degree in a scenario like that. Yeah. So I think that being able to sort of pull yourself out and being able to appreciate that other characters in the game have points of view that are valid. So that one is like a little one, but the other one, this is like a more serious blinders exercise, which I don't do. I don't do it as an exercise in this way because I haven't necessarily had to. And also I don't think this is a thing that I would do at the end of every stream. I sort of tease it as a GM. What I do is I just tell them at times, like not all the time, but at certain moments, I will just bring it up and tell them as sort of like a meta discussion. But it's a thing that maybe I would do at like the midterm or at the end of the season. But the exercise is, and I'm gonna think about this. I'll get back to me. I'll think about it after the 6th group episode. I'm gonna try it off screen and see what I think. Although I don't necessarily have to do it when people tell me. So there's that, right? If you tell me, if I hear the players saying it, then I don't necessarily have to do this exercise. But like, we'll see. So anyway, here's the exercise. The exercise is ask the players to tell you, and I think it might be really good to actually tell the group, something that their character is doing that is wrong, right? Something that some kind of mistake their character has made, something their character is doing that they as a player disagree with, that they think their character was not right about. And this is like the next this is a blinder exercise episode. Now, luckily, so far, I've gotten most of my, like in City of Light and Shadows, they will tell me. Dot has told me things that she thinks that Regina is doing that were wrong choices, that were not the right choice, right? So I'm like, okay. So I think that just, oh boy, that could get spicy with not the right, with the not right people. The thing is, it's not you saying what you think other people are doing wrong, but it's you being able to say what you think your character has done wrong. What you think, where you disagree with your character. And I think that become like a way that a character is acting out of character. No, not necessarily acting out of character, but that you think they made a mistake. And I think that this is the thing that that if you cannot do that, if you cannot say, I think my character made a mistake, I think my character maybe is not perfect, this is when we have a blinders problem. Yeah, okay, where the character is wrong in context, yes. If you cannot say when you think your character has made a mistake or may not be correct, you're probably having a blinders problem. And this idea is a blinders exercise, and it's not a thing that I would do at the end of every episode, because I actually think that's not necessarily useful. But I think it's a thing that should be, that I think it's a blinder. And you know what? I have to make a vlog about this. I'm gonna make a vlog about it. When will I do that? Not this weekend, because I've got a lot of work this weekend, and I've got a bunch of stuff this weekend. But soon, I'm going to do it soon. This is going to be my first. This is going to be my first vlog. Will be blinders and bleed, because everybody talks about bleed, but nobody talks about blinders. So the exercise of being able to say, you know what, I think my character is not right about this, or I think this was a bad choice my character made. That I think so. Like, I think this was a bad choice. I think my character made a bad choice. I think my character made a mistake. Being able to recognize that is, I think, important. So for example, My character Livewire in Aether's Walkway faked his death and did not tell his fiance about that. That was a bad choice. I understand why my character did it. I understand why my character thought at the time it was a good idea. Like I understand why my character did it. I understand why my character thought that was the right choice to make. But it was unfair. That was not a good choice to make, right? You don't fake your death and not tell your fiance. And I understand that my character thought that they were protecting her and that my character was getting some really bad advice from someone who had an ulterior motive. And I understand all the justifications that my character would make for that choice to fake his death and not tell his fiance and he put his fiance through a lot of emotional trauma. That's not right. That was not fair. And I can tell you that. I will tell you that was the wrong choice to make. And I am not so far into my character that I believe the justifications that my character would make. I know the justifications, but I cannot, like, it's not healthy for me to believe that my character, who did an awful thing to his fiance, did the right thing, because that was not a good thing. That was not a good thing. Do you know what I mean? PH says, like my character in Monster of the Week has given up on trying in his life on all fronts. That was a mistake. He put his work ahead of his family. That was a mistake. But maybe he can turn it all around. Yeah, that's right. And if you think your character is perfect and has never made bad choices and has never made a wrong decision, that's a red flag. You really need to think about that, because it will and here's why. Characters do not always agree with each other. And if you cannot see outside of your character, when your character comes into conflict with another character, there are going to be some problems, because your character is not like, yeah. Then the game should be very boring, or it can be it may not be boring, but it can become a problem, because then you can't compromise. You cannot compromise in character. And the thing is, sometimes you need to compromise, and that becomes. Also, here's another example of this. Here's another example of when you take the blinders off. And I think this is like an important thing. So for example, I can't remember which game it was in. I was in some game. No, I think I know what it was. It was, I think it was in The Witcher. And again, I can tell you the things that my characters did that was a mistake. Like, my character thinks that he did certain things correctly. There's still some things that he still thinks he has done correctly that I think was a mistake. He can't see it, but I see it, right? But my character has a pretty, like, where my character is at right now in the Witcher campaign is a little unclear, because my character is not in a good space emotionally, is in a really bad space, and we're going to see how that works out. But my character has very strong feelings about certain honorable or dishonorable actions, or has had over time. And my character would not do certain things in certain contexts. At least up to this point in time. Where my character is at right now, we're going to have to find out when they get out of this space. I don't know where my character's. I don't know where my character is going to be. I'd have to find that out. But for example, my character would just not murder innocent people. Now, that's just not a thing that my character would do, because my character was responsible for the death of an innocent person, and it went really, really badly, and they're traumatized by it. Like, there's a lot of like trauma and PTSD, so my character would not do that. That's the thing that my character is very resistant to doing. And so to clarify, are you saying you would ask this question every session? No, just like a mid-season, to self-reflect. I think that doing it every session would be too much. And also I think that it's not, I don't actually think that it's a session to session thing. I think it's actually a larger thing. The session to session thing I do is to ask players to say something that they liked about a different character that was not theirs, a different player that was not them. That's the anti-blinders thing I do per session, because it's like a positive, it's positive as well. But like the idea of being able to sort of recognize when your character is making an error, that is something I would probably just do mid-season. Either just at the end of I would probably do it mid-season and then at the end of the season, but I wouldn't do it every session, because I don't think that's necessarily useful, but I think it's a good thing to do mid-session. It sounds like a way to start getting players to think about how they're planning to arc their character. Well, I don't know, maybe sometimes, like, because that's a good way to think about arcs. I don't know what they're doing sometimes. But what I would say is, and here's the thing, and I will do this. I've done this multiple times in games, that if we're getting to a spot where I know that my character is going to have a problem with the thing. Oh, and actually I did this with the Purloin Code, actually. This is the thing I did with the Purloin Code as well. Sometimes I have a character that we're moving into a space in the game where I know my character is going to have a problem. Javai says, I think that every session is too much. I agree. While I do think being able to disagree with their character action is important, I do think it's something that happens. I don't think it happens every session. Yes, that's right. And actually, sometimes it's not a session per se. Sometimes it's actually a worldview thing, right? It's not necessarily every session. Sometimes it's actually just, I know there's this thing. And so you don't necessarily need to do it every session, right? I think it would become repetitive and not interesting. I think it's a thing a reflection that you should probably do like halfway through a season and then at the end of a season. And this brings me to a question about seasons, which I will get to for a moment. So the point is that this is the thing that I do because I don't have blinders, right? And I think this is an important thing to be able to do, that when I, as a player, see that we're getting to a spot that will become a problem, I will stop and I will say out of character, I will say, hey, everyone, my character, this particular character, has a real problem with killing innocent people. And it looks like the group is going to advocate for killing some innocent people. And I just want you to know that my character would not agree to this if you told them. And if my character knew that you were going to do this, this particular character would try to stop you all. But I get a sense that as a whole that the group wants to do this. So I'm going to just let you know this about my character, and I will say that the way around this would be to not let my character know. And I will help facilitate you not letting my character know this thing. Or, I suppose you could maybe try to convince them or whatever, but I want to let you know that this would be a problem. And if you do not want to play out this as a problem, I would just say, lie to my character or don't let them know, and I will help you as a player make this happen. I will have my character not be in the room, or I will do things so that this conflict will not happen if we don't want to have this conflict in game, because not everybody wants to have conflict like this in game. If you're okay with having this conflict, we can play it out. But I just want to let you know, that I know that this will be a problem for my character, and I want to help make sure this is not a problem for the group. So what can I do? And sometimes, why would I say this out of character and not play it out? Asked Lone Coop. Because why would I say this out of character and not play it out? Because not everybody. Okay. Lone Coop, have you ever played a game with someone? By the way, we're still playing the Outer Worlds. It just doesn't look like it. Have you ever played a game with somebody who is not cooperative, who derails the game and ruins everybody's fun because they do not play well with others? And that player will often make choices in character that ruin everyone else's fun. Like, everyone's like, hey, we want to go and they'll stonewall is what they'll do, right? We want to go and they take advantage of the player contract. There are certain player contracts that often happen. Not in an old school D&D game where people will just murder your character straight up. There's an old school PvP style of D&D where if I don't like your character, I just murder them. And people will there'll be a lot of inter-party murder all the time. And players go into that game recognizing that people are going to murder their characters and steal from each other, and that they're not really a team and they're not really a party, and at any time your player may double cross you and murder you and steal all of your stuff. That is a style of gameplay that some people enjoy, and they go into it knowing that they cannot trust any of their fellow players, and their fellow players are going to murder them. And they know that. And they also know that yeah, you need players in the gym you can trust and know a while. Yeah, but and so some people are into that. But the thing is that there are players who will say, my character wouldn't do that, and therefore the party will not do that. And they take advantage of the fact that most players want the game to go forward, and so that those players will compromise, and that those players will act out of character to make a compromise that the game itself will go forward. So there's a way in which a player can hold a game hostage by refusing to budge, by saying, this is what my character would do in game. And I'm just playing my character. It's what my character would do. And they take advantage of the fact that we want the game to move forward. And it's especially difficult if we're on stream, because if we're on stream, there's a pressure for the game to move forward so that people will basically indulge a problem player, right? And I mean, they do it off screen too, right? But there's a problem player who will basically throw a tantrum, hold their breath, and say that it's all in character. Oh, I'm just doing what my character would do, and would not give anybody a heads up, will spring it on people, and will basically hold the game hostage, and will force people to play the game that they want to play and not the game that the group is playing. It's selfish. It's a form of selfishness. And sometimes it's just selfish and manipulation. Sometimes it's that they have really heavy blinders on and they just cannot see outside of their character, and they never think to actually pop out of character and have that conversation. And so then they, and like if when it goes bad, it causes the game to fall apart, right? It causes the game to fall apart. And if you have a lot of blinders on, what characters in the real world would do when one of their colleagues is like that is they would fire them, or they would get rid of them, or they would kill them. They would not work with them. They wouldn't work with them. But players who have a lot of heavy blinders on often do not respond well to that. And players know that, and so they don't want to be a bad team player, and they don't want to mess up somebody, so they continue to indulge a character that is not behaving well. And that can cause games' entire campaigns to fall apart, and it can cause lots of problems. It's not good playing. It's not good playing to do that. You might people like to think, oh, I'm just playing, I'm just in character. It's like I'm being a good player. You're not being a good player. That's not a good player. That's not, you're not being a team player, right? You're being selfish, you're upstaging, you're not behaving well. So if I know as a player that my character will have a problem with something that it looks like the group as a whole wants, I'm going to give them the heads up. I'm going to say, hey, this is a thing I want, especially if I don't know the group well, If I don't know the group very well, if this is our first time playing together as a group, especially if it's our first time playing together as a group. And I play with new groups all the time because I do a lot of streaming, especially if it's a new group and when we don't know the group very well, or it's the first time, or if it's the first time it's going to happen. If it's the first time this is going to happen, I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to bring it up out of game, and I'm going to say, hey, this is what's going on with my character. This is what's happening with them. Basically, it's a heads up to say, if you do not want PvP in this campaign, let me tell you how to avoid it, right? Because some players don't like PvP. They don't want to have that kind of inter-party conflict. They are not, that's not something that is fun for them. They do not enjoy it. They don't want it. And if the group does not want it, I need to give them the heads up to say, hey, this course of action is going to cause PvP. Here's how we can avoid it if that's what you want to do. Now, if I say to them, hey, this is going to cause a problem with my character. If you don't want that problem and you don't want to have that conversation, here's how we can avoid it. And they say, no, we're super cool. Let's play it out. Then I'm like, great. And then they decide to kill some innocent orphans, and my character's there and is like, no, we can't do that. And then we have the conversation, and then whatever happens, and then it's all cool and everybody's having a good time. Because I'm not holding the game hostage, and they also have a heads up that this might be a thing, and then we can play in character, and then we stay in character, right? We stay in character, we have a good time, but everybody's on the same page as players. As players, we're all playing the game together, and we're playing the same game. And maybe what happens is that they don't want that long-term conflict, and so they lie to my character, and that's cool, and my character doesn't find out about it, and it's fine. Or maybe they do want the conflict in that moment, and we work it out in character, and it's great. But we know that this is going to be a thing, and we can have that conversation. And I think that's, and then once, and if we decide how we are, and if once we have an understanding, maybe we don't have to have that conversation the second or the third time, or maybe we have it the second time, but we don't need to have it the third time, because now we know where we're all at when it comes to that kind of thing. And also, I know and they know that we're all team players, we're all playing this game together, and that nobody's trying to upstage anyone or steal someone's spotlight or be difficult. But we know that we're playing this together, and so then we can do those things more. But that first time it's going to start coming to a conflict, I'm gonna pop out, because I don't have blinders on. I don't think my character is necessarily right, or that my character, is so precious that I'm okay with us having a conversation about it. Yeah, and Javai says, yeah, have done similar things like just having my character leave or be distracted or make sure the others know out of character that will be a problem. If it becomes a frequent thing, I would rather retire the character somehow or discuss a change in approach with the group, like having to leave every other scene because it wouldn't agree with him just doesn't work. Yeah. I also think in some cases the characters would know each other better than the players know the characters. So you informing them as just giving them info their character would probably know even if the characters don't. Yes, I think that like sometimes you have to tell them. You have to say, hey, you would know that this would be a problem for my character. You would know this about them. You've known them long enough to know that this would be a thing for them. And that is sometimes actually just better RPing to sort of let them know out of character. Definitely. That's what my character would do is a justification that only works if everyone pretends they didn't make their characters. Well, that is also true. And sometimes it's a line or a veil. Don't forget, sometimes it is a line or a veil. But sometimes people don't talk about PvP in their session zeros. And sometimes when they do, they only mean physical violence. They don't mean interpersonal ideological conflicts. So sometimes that session zero doesn't actually bring up some of these things that end up emerging in game, and so then we don't know ahead of time. And I find this is often the case with differences of opinion. Intra-party differences of opinion is usually not something that people and I have yet to come across a player who has said our characters having a difference of opinion is a veil. Almost nobody says that. They almost never say it. Because that seems outrageous, right? That seems ridiculous. Of course, people don't always agree, but in context, sometimes people don't want arguments, right? It might be fine for people to agree, but they don't want there to be arguments. And so sometimes the lines and veils actually don't cover the nuances of character disagreement, because I find that people want to think they're the kind of person that is okay with characters having different points of view. But then sometimes in practice, they're not. So very often that doesn't come out in a session zero as a line or a veil, even if you address it directly. So I find that just having that heads up in the moment becomes really important. Just to me, it's a check-in, right? It's a check-in to say, hey, we can veil this basically, right? Although with what Javai says, that sometimes it also means you need to retire a character, right? Your turn, my turn says, so being able to go out of character to bring it up is a way to bring everybody back to this is us collaborating space. Yes. And you cannot do that if you have blinders on. If you cannot step outside of your character, then you have a really hard time doing that. So being able to do that becomes important. Lonku says, I was about to say this is probably more a stream game problem, but it's not. It's not. In a home group, it's much easier to solve without the stream pressures. Yes. Lonku says PvP is highly emotional stress I don't like, right? Okay, so here's the thing, right? So I think that there is more pressure on a stream game, but I will tell you it certainly is a home game problem as well. And I've certainly had it be home game problems. I've certainly seen this problem a lot in a home game. And sometimes weirdly, it can be more of a problem in a home game with people you've played with for a really long time. That like if you've played with them for a really long time and you're really invested in the group, that sometimes you have a harder time saying no to a group of people that you know and like really well. And hey, Artie Snack, and also sometimes can be a real problem with a game that one of the problems with home games, this was a thing I wanted to say that I didn't say, but is actually I think really important. So hold on, I'm gonna read this out loud. And then I'm going to tell you, don't let me forget, it's about seasons. Universal Defense Logistics. This terminal is only be used by UDL personnel with S564 clearance. If you are reading this without S564 clearance, please report to your supervisor for immediate termination and disciplinary action, including but not limited to fines in excess of 100,000 bits, detention in a UDL authorized incarceration center for 349 months, and a personal letter from the chairman, Rockwell, expressing his extreme disappointment. Letter not actually written by Chairman Rockwell. However, it is an approximation of his tone and vocabulary with a 99.8% degree of accuracy, so you should still feel very ashamed. We'll get our research data. There are lots of logs. So I'm going to say this. This is a thing I wanted to say earlier, but I didn't get to it, but now it is relevant again. I will say this. In a stream game, stream games often have limited number of episodes. 10 episodes, 8 episodes, 12, not always, but often. They're often framed in terms of seasons. And so if you're in a game with a group and it's 8 sessions and maybe it's a little bit emotionally irritating, oftentimes I can handle that for 8 sessions. People can like sort of find their way through that. And I have done. I found my way, like I've been in a couple of stream games where I was like, but it's like 8 sessions, so like it's fine, and we're done. We're okay. I can manage that. But I want to tell you that I actually started. Can I ask you to read the monitor? I will. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it for you. But I actually started framing my games as seasons, limited the seasons, well before I started streaming. I started doing that. I started framing my games as seasons probably sometime in the early 90s, because I was in a group that rotated. And what I found was that, and then we would do multiple seasons. We would just we would renew the season. So we would do multiple seasons, but we framed it in terms of seasons so that people had an out, so that people could say, okay, I'm done with this season. I will come back season 3, or I'll come back later, but I can't finish this right. But I find that if you're in a game that has no endpoint ever and has no shape of seasons, attendance is worse. I find that once I sort of started framing my games as seasons with 10 or 15 episode seasons, attendance got much better. People didn't drop out as often. And that people could sit out a season if they wanted to. And it made it easier to deal with problems in certain ways. But if you're in a game that's going to last for 20 years, it will never end, and with your best friends, sometimes people have a hard time bringing up conflict. They should, but sometimes people do. So anyway, the point is that sometimes actually in a home game with people that you trust, it actually is harder to bring up these issues than it is for games with sort of renewing times. Yeah. And so for Lone Coup, PvP is highly emotional stress that they don't like. And so finding ways to be able to have in-character conflict, or that doesn't end up becoming stressful, becomes important. How can you sort of manage that? And being able to pull yourself out of character can be really helpful in being able to do that. Shavai says, yeah, just letting everyone know that something will happen as a result and giving them a way out of that if they want to avoid it, be it the character taking the focus strongly or PvP or something else. Yeah. Yes. And I also think, and this is another thing that I think is important about blinders, being able to sort of step yourself outside of blinders. And this is, PH says, in your home game, so often you try to make it work for so long, you miss the point where it should have decided not to game together anymore, take a break. Yeah, and oftentimes with a long-running home game, there's pressure not to quit. There's pressure, there's no out. There's pressure. I mean, there's a lot of pressure in that way that can be not healthy. So sometimes I think some of the adopting some of these things that are now a bit more regular in stream games, but I was doing actually earlier, sometimes can be very good. But what I want to say is, and this is another thing about blinders, and one of the things about being able to get rid of your blinders, and this goes back to something that Javai said, sometimes you need to be able to retire your character, right? If my character is not working for the group as the group has developed, and I cannot make my character work for the group as the group has developed, and the group cannot do anything about it, I need to not be so invested in my character that I cannot say, you know what, I think my character would leave, and not be hurt about it. I'm not mad, I'm not hurt, this is not passive aggressiveness, it's just, you know what, I think my character would leave, and I have an idea for a character that I think would work a little bit better. And if you can do that, if you have the ability to step outside of your character enough that you can do that, that's really good. And sometimes the players might be like, yeah, or no, I think we can maybe work it out, and then you can work it out, whatever. But I think being able to sort of recognize that when your character has run its course in this context, and maybe they come back later or whatever, is actually pretty healthy. It's actually pretty healthy to be able to know that when maybe it's time for you to retire your character. That's not bad. That's not a bad thing. I think that's not failure. That's not taking your blocks and going home. Sometimes that's this character you misjudged, or the way it developed was this is maybe just not, to be able to come to that to yourself. So project name Notatoi, complete-ish. After successful trials, management has decided to put Project Notanoi, not a toy, not a toy on hold. UDL will instead pursue projects with a wider area of effect for more practical, large-scale crowd control. Note, before anyone asks, this does not mean I'm unlocking the gun. It's still off limits. In S. Oops. Takes me back to the... Rissa, I was thinking about the Whispers campaign as well. I was thinking about it as well, as a matter of fact. Although I don't think the replacement was as fully realized as the original. Yes. So this was a kind of a tricky thing that we were in. Rissa and I were in a campaign, a brilliant campaign that lasted for 3 years. It was supposed to last for 2 years. It was a campaign that had an endpoint. It was supposed to last for 2 years, but we extended it for a third year. And we were all playing various characters. I was playing a single dad who was a bigot, conservative Luddite bigot. It was a sort of like a near future transhumanist campaign. And I asked the group, I was like, I would like to play this character. Is that okay? Everyone said yes. And I said, okay, cool. I would like to ask the fellow players not to play an uplifted dog, an uplifted animal, because that my character would just have a real problem with. But like that would be the one thing. Everyone's like, yeah, that's fine. Nobody wants to do that. We're cool. Somebody played an AI in a clone body of their original self, like a ghost in a shell. And my character didn't know about it, so that was cool, right? And I was like, oh, this is really neat. This might be an opportunity for my character to learn to be less bigoted. I'm very excited to see if my character will learn that. I was very excited. But the person who was playing the ghost in the shell betrayed the party. And please note, we were a detective agency, and this person who betrayed the party was an employee, not a partner. So this is an important note. And we all the players had a chance to be partners in the company, and this particular player wanted their character to be an employee, not a partner. So they did not own part of the company. And they betrayed the group. And they betrayed the group really badly. They went to the person that we were surveilling and told them everything that we were doing. They sold out our client. They had a gunfight shootout in a train station to try to help the client who had done a bad thing escape. It was like really, really bad. So we had to go into damage control and try to explain what happened to our client, why our employee did this. It was really bad. And then when we went to talk to the employee about it, the employee accused us all of being basically murderers and horrible people and all of this stuff. And we just had to fire that character. We were like, look, there is no way that this company can keep this player character on. Like that's just not. And so that character was fired, and the player had to make a new character because there was just that was it. Like there was no way that we could make that character work as a group after that. We just couldn't. We couldn't. Now, later in the game, there was another character who did some pretty egregious stuff, pulled a gun on my character. After, like, there was a third character, who was a partner in the company, by the way, that's important, who was a partner in the company who had been doing secret surveillance and recording all of our activities for years, and then also pulled a gun on my character when my character decided to get those security cameras taken out of their shared living spaces. And that was like a bad deal. But that character was a partner, so we couldn't just fire them. And that character had built a really long-standing relationship with all of our characters. So we didn't want to abandon them. And that character agreed to go to therapy, right? And so then we all had it like, and that character stayed in the game because we all worked through it in a way. But there was nothing we could do with that first character at all. There just wasn't anything we could do. And it didn't make sense for us to keep that character around as a group. And so we had a conversation about it, but that was it. Like, we couldn't do anything about it. That was it. And sometimes that has to happen. I think people sometimes think of retiring a character as much more final negative in that way than it is. Oh yeah, like retiring can be really cool. Like maybe you get a noble title or get a good job or go on a different adventure or decide to work with a group in a different way. They can even semi-remain in the game as an occasional NPC if that's what you want. A character retiring can be so many different things. Totally agree. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. Oh yeah. Why did they betray you? What was their connection to the suspect? Yeah, no, there is a good answer, Rissa. The answer, well, it's a lot of things. Oh God, it's a lot of things is what it was. There were a lot of answers to that question. Some of them were good answers. Some of them were less good answers. Oh, the role-playing episode of the group therapy session. Sorry you weren't strong enough to have an electro laser pointed at you. Yeah. My Mechanist Genitor retired from our Dark Heresy campaign because he became the governor of a planet whose heresy we were purging. Right? It can be good. Early results are promising. We've managed to increase the surface tension of the gloop to create a controlled and predictable spread of the substance. Management wants a catchier name, though. Note, I told Pal we're not calling the project Sticky Bits, but he refused to refer to it as anything else. It doesn't even make sense. The gloop particles are nearly frictionless. Oh, I keep pressing the wrong button. And then log 58. Someone filled my underwear drawer with gloop. I have theories. Log 143. Chastity used the gloop gun in our office paintball game yesterday. She said it was a mistake, but this is the third time she's made the same mistake. And she managed to cover the door panel with the stuff. Damn thing's been going haywire ever since. Do you know how hard it is to clean gloop? Chastity doesn't, because every time I pull out the latex and solvent, she remembers she's got actual work to do. From now on, I'm locking the damn gun up. Yeah. Unlock gloop gun containment unit. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, wait. To confirm that you are authorized Universal Defense Logistics Security Specialist, please answer the following questions. Question 1. You are attending a company meeting at HHC headquarters in Byzantium, and vile dissidents attack the building. What is your priority? We're just going to override this. Chairman login. We're just going to enter that password. We're going to just hack that and get some XP. Yes. Wait. I just hacked it though. Oh, I don't think I can hack it. What? All right, we're gonna protect the chairman. Corporate response registered, proceeding with security check. Mandatory security check. Question 2. You are perusing one of our many UDL personal security mega outlets and enjoying our fine selection of employee compliance equipment when you are approached by a stranger. He makes an offhanded comment that could be construed as an indirect insult to Chairman Rockwell. What do you do? Answer, berate him relentlessly in defense of the chairman's honor, smile and walk away, engage him to further assess and send. We're going to just berate him. Oh, I hope our security check is good. Question 3. You and your spouse have a healthy, loving relationship, but one day you discover that they have been reading unsanctioned stories to your children. What do you do? Answer, destroy the stories and forbid your children from mentioning it again. Answer, arrest your spouse and admit your children to a re-education program. Turn the stories into authorities and claim responsibility. Oh, we arrest the spouse and turn them into a re-education program? Because this seems like a terrible bad space. Use of prototype crowd suppression weapon gloop has been authorized. Reminder, indoor use of this weapon will result in any cleaning fees being deducted from your paycheck. Have a pleasant day. Yeah, we got the gloop, everybody. We got the gloop. But my question now is where? Oh, there it is. There's the gloop. Let's take the gloop gun. These people are really bad. We got a gloop gun, everybody. That's really good. I feel good about that. We have made progress. I retired a character. Oh, outside. I don't think I want to be outside just yet. I retired a character, this is PH, because he, while possessed, killed another PC they had a crush on. Oh, yeah, that would be hard to come back from. Yeah. Gloop it up. We've got the gloop. Sounds like the same thing you'd say right before dying. So look, there are people on the roof of this building that I would like to get access to, but I'm not quite certain how to do that. I want to figure that out because I feel like there are scientists up there that I want to talk to, perhaps. Or maybe they're all dead, but I'm not quite certain how to get there, but I want to. Isn't that... No, she's goop. She's goop. Not gloop. She's goop. So why did he betray the group? I suppose I should explain what happened. So it was our first mission, and we were like near future. private detectives specializing in information crimes. And see, that is where I feel like there's a way to get on the roof of this building. And I am going to figure out how to do that. Case, not mission, yep. And our first case, so we lived in Montreal, which is a free city. This is important to note. Montreal is an independent free city. And we were, hello 360. All right. There are clearly some keys that we don't have that we need to have. That's interesting. There's a ladder, but it doesn't bring us up to the top. So we'll see what we can get. Alarm status offline. Note, the person who sets the alarm off as a joke is getting lost time taken out of their paycheck. It was funny the first time, not the last 27. Let's view the logs. Oh, okay, logs. Alarm triggered. Chastity, everything okay? Sorry, I can't find my key card. So you set off the alarm? You could have knocked. Huh. Alarm triggered. Marauders, help! Everyone, lockdown protocols. Powell, how many do you see? Laws, they're everywhere. Come on, any details? Okay, check up your ass, because I'm pretty sure you've got something lodged up there. No, for the love of... what is it now? Sorry, I lost my key card. Cost my Lee card. Chastity, are you drunk? Chastity? No? Oh, for censored language, inconsistent with UDL standards. If I have to deal with one more false alarm, I'll... But not before I've censored language. Fish sticks. Static. Architect's balls. Are you asleep out there? What? No, just get inside. Inaudible. Marauders, they're really here this time. I'm not falling for that. Get back to work. I mean it. Person who cried wolf, everyone. I'm not going to activate the alarm. I feel like that's not necessary. So we're just going to finish our 360, and then if not, we're going to go back up to the ladder and see if we can do something. But at this point in time, I really miss Elder Scrolls, where I could just up my jumping skill to insanely high levels and then just jump everywhere. So we were in the independent city of Montreal. It's like, you know, the future. And there's basically like, there's like a Canada and the United States, but they're a little bit different because the politics of the world has changed a little bit. See, look, here's this ladder that I would like to be able to use to get up here, where I suspect there are some bodies that I would like to check out. And they're not going to do that for me. So I think I tried this thing last time and it was not successful, but it was trying to kind of like walk here, and maybe I can make my way around this way. So if I can just be very careful that maybe I could find a way. It does not look like there's a way around. I just want to get on the roof. I can't get on the roof. It's fine. Fine. But that's what I want. Let's see. We are return to Sanjar with the data cartridge. Okay. So I just need to turn in this quest, and I will do that because. Oh, you spent 2 hours trying, but you want to get on the roof, don't you? Like I do. That's what I want to do. All right, we're gonna fast travel. Here we go. Okay, so this is important to note that both that we're in Canada, and I can't remember what the name of the country was. It's like the CAS or something. Yeah, right? So in both of these countries that Montreal is independent of, it's illegal to eat meat made from actual animals, right? So like basically there's vat grown flesh, and it is basically illegal to eat meat made of from actual animals in the Canadian parts, and I think in the US it's just like super frowned upon, and it's like kind of shameful and not Actually, I think it might be illegal there as well. Anyway, in Montreal, which is an independent city, it is not illegal. It is not illegal to eat meat made from actual animals in the independent city of Montreal. I think it might not be illegal. Nonetheless, it's illegal in basically Canada. That's what you need to know. So there is a club, a rich person's club yes. So it's like made of super rich people, like a country club sort of a thing. And in this club, they would have these like secret meetings, and in these meetings they would have banquets where they would eat meat made of actual animals. And not all members of this club are from Montreal. So like really important, influential like politicians and business people and things like that are from the equivalent of Canada and also the United States. The countries are named differently. Are members of this club, and they'd have these secret banquets where they're eating meat from actual animals. And the case is brought to us by the head of security from this club, because they were sent video footage from inside the club, photographing, like videographing these banquets. And the notes are what they're white mail. It's a white mail message saying, if you don't donate like all this money to charities, we're going to expose the fact that you're eating meat, and it'll ruin your careers and your lives will be ruined. And so you have to we're white mailing you. And what you need to do is like basically donate to these charities. So we have to figure out who's doing the white mailing, how do they get access to inside the club. So like we're interviewing like all the wait staff. We're doing all this stuff to try to figure out who's doing it. And we discover, and like we're doing all this sort of we're doing a lot of work, and we discover a group who are basically some people might call them terrorists, AI activists, so like activists for AI rights. And we have to go and try to get evidence, like proof that they're the ones who did it. So we're doing this sort of investigation. My character tries to break into one of the apartments in the office and get evidence, and is not able to do so. And so the other character, who is an AI, although he does not think of himself as an AI, he thinks of himself as like a copy of the original, his job is to go and try to seduce one of the suspects to get into her house so he can get the evidence. And so he, chats her up, and he does the chatting and the seducing, and he seduces her to get into her apartment. But really, I think what happens is that she seduced him, because she makes a lot of talk about like AI rights and AI this and AI that. And he's like, oh. And in the end, he decided that, but he does get the evidence, and he gives it to us, and we give the evidence to our employer. And he decides that he sides with her in terms of AI rights rather than our employer, who really has nothing to do with any of that at all. And he decides that the employer is going to go and kill her, so he's going to rescue her and get her to escape, and that's not at all what was going on. He just made that assumption. And therefore, since we gave the information to the employer, we are fine with the employer killing her, and that we're evil murderers and we're bad people. And really what happened was that the employer wanted to get her and offer her a job, because if she could break into their security, she was clearly really good at what she did, and basically saying like, you committed a crime, rather than sending you to the police, we're going to offer you a job, which ended up being what happened. But it was like really bad. Anyway, after he did all that, we were like, we have to fire you. So basically, I think he was seduced by this insurgent into wanting to like damn the man, and like became very aggro. The only problem is that my character, who was bigoted against AI, this did not help. Meat-based threats, what we live in. Yeah, so AI rights was the real meat of the issue all along. Yeah, AI rights, well, the thing is, the issue, yes, AI rights was the meat, but of course, that was, it was the real meat of the issue. So his good reason was that he was a nutter. Well, he had his reasons.
Be careful with your new friends in Amber Heights. They're not the most reliable types.
I know.
Anyway, what can I do for you?
I found a data cartridge with the details of UDL's secret experiments.
Excellent timing on your part. I worked my fingers to nubs, but I've finally completed the Bolt 52 form. I dare say it will be my second greatest achievement after the Reformations.
You're getting ahead of yourself again.
So I am. do you have this cartridge?
So, reformations? What are you going to reformat everyone's files?
That's just cruel and inefficient.
Oh.
I'm working on a plan to reorganize the board.
Oh.
Slowly, peacefully, and with meticulous documentation.
You are?
Oh.
You could do a lot of good around here, you know.
Yeah.
Go getting my hopes up.
But that's entirely the point. We've got to hope. We have got to partake once more of the full resources and opportunities of Halcyon.
What about the folks out in the wilderness? Amber Heights, Fallbrook?
Yeah.
Will you share with them, or will you hoard those resources here?
Yeah.
My sincerest hope is for MSI to become a model for all of Halcyon. But we must start somewhere. But truly, I am getting ahead of myself. First, I need to submit the Bolt 52 with that data you're holding, of course.
And I'm just going to give it to him. Here you go.
I knew there was something going on. This is exactly the proof we need. The board will have to welcome us back now. I'll transmit this data along with the completed Bolt 52 right away. After that, we'll sit back and quietly wait for the board to respond.
That means no more broadcasts from us.
Okay, good. So I have to go. Yeah. Look at this, everybody. We completed a quest. And I think that we can, wrong button. I think we can just go to, we can go to the information broker and finish that real easy. And we'll just, we just have to travel. Come on. There we go. I'm gonna fast travel there. Can I fast travel here? I can. Fast travel. And I think in the end, yeah. So that character had to be retired. That character had to be retired because there was no way that our characters would work with that character again. Probably until like 315-ish is probably where I'm going to play, like 315 or so. 315. Yeah, I like Sanjar. I like Sanjar. Hello. We're gonna go to Devil's Peak Station. It's gonna be great. Oh, hey, if you see a what do you call it? A vending machine? Just let me know. If you see a vending machine, you should just also, did I not pick up this stuff before? I thought I was like, I thought I hoarded everything. I'm a pretty big hoarder. I'm surprised that I didn't have it. 50 for a fellow Sanjar appreciator. No, I like him. I like him quite a lot. But, you know, those are bits, so you know what that means. I'm going to sing We're in the Money, as sung by Ginger Rogers in the film Gold Diggers of 1933, which means I'm singing it in Pig Latin. Irwin hey the anime, Irwin hey the anime, Eve way up, gaily up, way up, wigs to tit, gaily young way. Irwin hey the anime, the ice skates are on, he say. Oh man, the Asian pray, ooh, dre, what's down way hungry, Eve way up on the eat, red lands lay, way at Brian's lay, day. And when we see the end, Lord will look left the eye, right in the eye. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. I love singing that song. It makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. Galfork, double down. All right, so Galfork, you just double down on that action, which means I'm going to sing it again, but I'm going to sing it faster. Okay, are you ready?
If I'd known we were set to lounging,
Okay. Irayan hey the anime, Irayan hey the anime. If I get out, we have where we kick to ticket long way. Irayan hey the anime, either I skates or ani say. Oh man, the action break udary for your steering rail. Even when you read down say, everywhere brands like ute day. And when we see the end of the world, that guy in the IA. We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. I'm gonna just be super excited about that, and also, where is I think I need to go to, I need the elevator. Oh, you're drinking. Oh, you're all right. By the way, that was the cackling is strong. It's yeah. Sometimes you gotta cackle. Also, take your stuff. I need the elevator. Where's the elevator? Map. I feel like maybe I'm going the wrong direction. Elevator. No, I think I'm going the right direction. Elevator. This enchantment. Sorry, here we go. That's just a little bit of Dragon Age. That's all. Not to be confused with Ella Later, which is when you're listening to a famous jazz singer in a few hours. That's actually also true. A little bit of Ella Later. Look, y'all, I have to tell you all, I adore you all. I do. Oh, so this is what I wanted to say. Hello. I am a little worried about our players in City of Light and Shadows. They seem to be
Do you hear that?
contemplating some choices that might be bad.
Which leads me to believe you have sweet, sweet news for me.
Each 20% is a radio. So currently that's 2 radios out of 5 that you have gotten to. So if we can get to 100%, they get all 5 radios. If you only get to so you can all donate your extra credits to help our secret agents get radios, wireless radios, so they can be a stronger, better network, which will help them. And you're currently at 40%. MSI and the Iconoclast are no longer transmitting. Is the data ready?
Yes, indeed. I am back in business.
Good.
But before we get down to it, might I ask how you handled the problem in the end?
Yeah,
Come on,
Witch.
you really want to get invested in the details? We finished the job.
Is that so?
Yeah. So this is the thing, that how many radios can they scratch up to give to you all is the question, because they're also, because here's the thing, London is also setting up networks all across not just France but also across Europe, and they need to produce these radios. These radios are not easy produced. They need to deliver them. This group is not the only group that needs radios. There are a lot of people who need radios, and so the question is, how many radios can they get to? So when they get radios, is London calling? Yes, I am very excited about. So we've been talking. Jer was like, hey, there's this new community goal thing, and maybe you could do something with City Light and Shadow with a community goal. And I was like, yeah, but I didn't know what it was yet. And I know this is a weird thing. I always want whatever it is to be organic. Right? I know you've got these extra credits and I want you to be able to do things with them, but I want it to be real. I want it to be meaningful. I want it to make sense. And so I won't just make a goal just cause. I won't just do a thing just to use up points. I want it to be a thing. And I was like, radios. I saw y'all talking about it in chat and I was like, that's the thing. Having London help with the radios, that's the thing. And they were able to convince Falstaff to support them. Now the question is, how much can they actually get? Because supplies are hard to come by. And that is you all. And this is a thing that feels organic to me. I like it. It feels like this is a really good community goal that we as a group, London, can see how much we can scrape up to get to them. And then bring this plane in, although they only have 2 days to get ready for it. So I like it. That's a good one. And after this goal is done, we will see what might make sense for the next goal. Because I never want it to be artificial. I always want it to be I always want it to make sense. I always wanted to, not a decent DC-10 tonight. Yeah, convince is being generous. Well, yes. Poor Oscar's escaped the Spanish bombs and found himself at the mercy of Falstaff. Yeah, and he's thrown in with Kim Teas. Poor Oscar. Oh, my friends. Oh, my friends. Yeah. Oh, you're an information broker. If you want to know, it'll cost you.
Oh, I believe it will. But the price I pay won't be to you. No, we've a bigger deal to settle. I don't doubt that you are working with Phineas, but my contract specifies I relay any acquired information to the purchaser, and to the purchaser alone. However, to send the data, I will need your assistance in cycling the antenna's receiver, so I can input the needed adjustments.
Interesting. We are important in making Punch's face cringe when he has to give them what he wasn't want to give them. That's true. That's true. Oh, my friends don't ask me what your sacrifice is for. Speaking of information brokers, we need to be pretty disciplined on not revealing juice to the other players. Yes. Your turn, my turn. Yes. Empty chairs at empty tables. Where am I? Oh, look, there are going to become points when it's going to get super juicy for you all, and you're going to. Oh, that was the entire point of the entire conversation we had. Thank you for your turn, my turn. Thank you for reminding me. Full circle where I wanted to start with, which was a thing, and I will tell you after I read this. Don't let me forget, it's about streamed RPGs. Phineas doesn't trust many people. How'd he hook up with you? Finally tell me how to fix it. I bet I have a whole new checklist. Okay. No!
It's simple.
That wasn't it.
I merely need you to waltz outside and throw the lever to cycle the power. I'll key in the numerical adjustments from in here.
Except that it needs 3 keys before it'll activate and I have to go find them, right?
Eternal, no. What is wrong with you? Who would ever design something like that? However, you're welcome to brew me a Rizzo Insta coffee from the staff kitchen on your way back.
Whatever.
Just step outside, flip the switch, depart forever. Understood? Good. Marvelous. We're in agreement.
I wanted to ask about Phineas, though.
I stopped helping out around here, you know. It's always throw this lever, shoot that marauder, save my life. Just one thing after another with you.
I'm starting to see why you don't get much company out here.
Got it.
Terrific. I'll be here, waiting with bated breath. Give a shout if the panel electrocutes you.
Yeah, I really wanted...
Have some information for me?
Yeah, but I wanted to find out about you and Phineas.
I have a secret for you.
Can I get that information?
Exchange. Ask me what you will.
I think that I don't think I get it. I don't think I get it.
Not much, admittedly.
Well, fine.
For you, I am a veritable...
There was information that I didn't get to have, and I lost it forever. So mad. I'm not really that mad. It's fine. But I'm disappointed because I'm a bit of a completionist in games like this, and so now there's information that I don't have, and it hurts me. Okay, a dude with an upper class accent has told you that doing something is simple. There's going to be a dinosaur boss fight. Like, Beetle wins. I feel like there's a dinosaur boss fight just waiting for me. Yes. Where can I get a new brain? One maybe a bit less in pain due to weather and a bit smarter. You are smart. I am sad about brain migraines. I'm sad about that. Oh, this is not the way out. This way probably. So this is what I wanted to tell you. Ooh, hoarding. This is what I wanted to tell you. This is important. It's not important. It's a thing that I think about. So it's important to me. You can have feelings about it however you want. So it is my opinion. It is my very strong opinion. This is a thing I feel quite strongly about. It is my opinion that the way to make the best streamed RPGs, Beetlewind says, once you flip the switch, he's going to be all, oh, I forgot to say that turn the machine on annoys the local wildlife, but there's nothing you can handle, and then 9 T-Rexes will come out of the woods. Yeah, that's about right. That's about how that will happen. So I think the thing is that there are people who say on Twitter that the way to make TTRPG, streamed RPGs more popular is to script them, edit them, make them an hour, basically turn them into television. That like that basic, and also like hide the mechanics, don't let people, like basically use only rules light systems, hide the mechanics, don't let people know that kind of stuff because nobody wants to see it. That to be the most successful as possible, you have to be as close to television as possible. That is that's the way to go. Scabianak is popular is not the same thing as good, but also streamed RPGs aren't TV shows. Yeah, they're not TV shows is what I'm trying to say. And I generally think, and this is my very strong opinion, that media never sings. It never sings, and it never reaches its full potential if it is embarrassed to be what it is. If the media is embarrassed to be what it is and tries to be something that it is not, it will never be able to reach the height of potential of that medium itself. Ogier, I have. But the people say this all the time. People do this all the time. It's not just recently. I've been seeing this for like a very long time. People saying like, if you want your RPGs to be popular, basically do all these things. And I was like, you know, Critical Role does the exact opposite of all that, and it's like the most popular show by orders of magnitude. Yeah, and also podcasts do that. So you can watch podcasts. That's actually like podcast streams are often the ones that will do that for you. Hey Sal. Yeah, so like I just don't think that is. Also, I clearly don't think this is the way we need to be. We're gonna look around down here. So this advice, I think, is just is not borne out by the actual data, by the actual it's just like practically, it just does not seem to be at all a true statement. If you look at the shows that are most popular, there is a show that somebody was telling me about that is super old school, in that it's like people around an actual physical table just standing around doing like very old, and like that has like a couple hundred viewers, right? It is, Sal, but if you look at the other ones, the ones that are in the next tier, like in Hyper, Death from Above was one of their most popular shows, right? Like, so like the thing is, you know, some of their most popular shows are not the ones that obscure themselves as being RPGs. Also, TTRPG shows are relatively new. Yes. There isn't a set format. Yes. What works and what doesn't is still being figured out to some degree. Yes. I actually think, Barantor, I think it was the Greyhawk campaign they were talking about. It was Lord Gusumba's Greyhawk campaign, and they get a couple hundred people watching that, which is like really amazing for RPG streams, because we have to remember that RPG streams are pretty small. And so like we don't yet know the format. Right. So, but my point is that I think that generally speaking, when a medium is embarrassed to be that medium, and when the people in that medium are embarrassed to be in that medium and they try to be something else, that doesn't end up producing the best that you can do. And I don't think that is the way to go. Like I have seen, like, in the beginning, there was a bunch of film that thought that it should be vaudeville, and it really didn't work out well for film, because that's not it's not actually the best. By the way, where do I need to go? Here we go. I need to go downstairs. This we're good. We're going downstairs. We're fine. If you don't embrace the medium, you're losing potential. Yes, right. And so the thing is that. It's like this. It's like when people, if streams were just TV, people would just watch TV. Yeah, Skabanak. They would watch TV because TV has a whole entire writer's room of people who are professional writers of TV, and also sets and huge budgets. It has a lot of stuff, by the way. We're going to use this vending machine that a streamed RPG, which is people sitting around a table, does not have. Just gonna note that one. Oh, I just sold everything, didn't I? I did. Okay, we're gonna just first we're gonna sell our junk, and then I'm going to. Oh wait. One of these things is like I got a cool new thing, right? Oh no, I want to sell things. That's what it is. I want to sell things. I'm gonna sell things, but I got a new gun that I'm not gonna sell. I'm gonna, because I'm selling things. See, you can be proud of me. You can be proud of me. I'm selling things. Just I'm gonna sell all the things that without even looking at them in great detail, even if they're better than the things I currently have. But I'm not even looking at them. I'm just selling them. No, or at least I'm gonna sell all the things that are okay. If it's a level 20 thing, then maybe I'll stop selling it. But I'm gonna goop gun. This is a heavy weapon. Yeah, so I'm gonna just, I'm gonna. I feel like I'm missing out on things I should not be selling, but I'm selling things. You should be proud of me. Proud of me just selling all sorts of things that might be really interesting and useful later that I might need, and that if I don't have, I might be sad, but I'm gonna sell them anyway. I'm not selling like everything, but I'm selling a lot of things. And I'm gonna sell this armor. But I'm not gonna sell these sunglasses because who doesn't want sunglasses? There, I sold a lot of things, right? Live improvisational collaborative writing with real consequences. Oh, your turn, my turn, yeah. Beetle said, I heard this is what is holding a lot of games back. Yes, Beetle said, I was just gonna say that. Thank you for reading my mind. Games would be much better if they focus on what they are rather than try and 8 movies. Yes, yes. You mean like when you try to hide Pathfinder behind an American Gladiator theme? Yeah. And not do it well. Like you could have done it, but yeah. Also, TV is really generally written in advance and not improvised. That is, yeah, it's a complete, and it's not better or worse. It's just different. The streamed RPG has chat and community. If you let it happen, it's totally different. You have this thing. I got rid of it. 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 I sold the things. So hey, Hawkeye. And the thing about this is, so I'm looking for a Switch. We're gonna just pick up this stuff right here. So the thing is that I agree, and look, and I'm gonna say this as a please note, I am not one of those conservatives that thinks it has to be only one really, really narrow way. I actually am really excited about video games that are very experimental and much different than you think they might be. Like, I'm actually really into like a lot of really weird things, you know what I mean? But you can tell sometimes when the video games wishes they were films. Do you know what I mean? And they're like, oh, why can't we be like film? And I was like, you don't need to be like film. You're a video game. You've got your own thing that's cool. You can do things that films can never do. Stop being jealous of films and hoping that you can be like that that don't be jealous of films, because films are not better than you. And I was thinking about this with when I was playing KOTOR, the first KOTOR, which this is an example of what I mean, and it's a music example. It's a music example. So because that is my life. I'm a music person, so this is going to be a music example. But there was well, how did that? What? Something weird is happening. Where do I find this? No, that's not what I want. Map? Well, where is this? Where is this heckin' thing? We're gonna find it out. So anyway, what I wanted to say was, as an example, so in Knights of the Republic, the first one, they decided that they wanted to get a film music composer to do the score for Knights of the Republic, because of course film music composers are real composers and they're way better than video game music composers, right? There's like this whole, like, again, it's that kind of like insecurity, thinking this other medium is better than you. So they went and got somebody who I think had a lot more film music experience. And what I'm going to tell you was that was bad. So it looks like I have to go outside. It looks like I have to go outside to flip this switch. Well, all right. We'll look. We'll look. And so here's the thing about the music. I love KOTOR. I think it's great. But the game itself, I think, really embraced its gameness. But the score had problems. The video game score had problems. And let me tell you specifically what the problem was, which is an example of why these things are not the same. The battle music in Knights of the Old Republic 1. The battle music is really classic Star Wars film battle music. There is a problem with that. Battle music in a film is usually built so the ways in which we are able to do not understand what oh, your turn, my turn. Yes. So what happens is, right, that the way that you sort of film music, especially John Williams' stuff, because John Williams' stuff is particularly tonal, is all about a particular drive, about making you it's about a beginning, middle, and end. It's about increasing tension. It's about making you want certain kinds of feelings. It does a bunch of work, right? There are similarities between music, movie, and game music, sure, but they are also so different. Movie music is fit to a certain scene, meant to supplement it. Game music can often not do that, especially when it comes to battle music, because you will listen to the battle music a lot, and it has to be comfortable and not distracting. Yes, but also one of the big problems, forgive my nest right there, one of the big problems with the battle music they made for KOTOR was it had a beginning, middle, and end that drives you to certain feelings of a certain kind of intensity. And the problem with that, and it's a big problem, is that you don't know that you can do that. I looked all around here. He wants me to flip a switch. He wants me to flip a switch. Where is this switch? Where is the switch? But the problem is that you can only have a beginning, middle, and end when you know exactly how long the battle is going to take, right? That you know it's going to last exactly this moment, and you time it all out. Yeah, I went up the ladder, which brings you up right there, right? Yes? No? And when you're playing, and I remember playing Knights of the Republic, and some battles went super, super long, which meant the music starts, it builds, it builds, it builds, it has a climax, it ends, and then my battle's not over, so then it just restarts, and it feels super weird, right? It feels really, really bad. And then sometimes I got really, really good at the combat, and the battle was 25 seconds, and the music starts, and it starts building, and then it just stops. It doesn't finish. It's not effective, right? It does not work. Look, this really wants me to go outside. It really wants me to go outside. Let me look at my journal. Before you can transmit the data to Phineas, you'll need to give the tower a jump start. All right, well, I'm going outside again. This is me going inside and outside, because it's clearly it wants me to go outside. So we're gonna have to look at this one more time. So the thing is, if you're a film music scorer, you're used to scoring in that way, but it doesn't actually work for video games. You need things that are able to loop well. The music for the Mass Effect series was way better. The battle music worked really well. It was something that you could come in and come out of without it feeling, and it could loop for a really long time. It was much, much better. So by trying to be now compare it to Final Fantasy VII's awesome orchestral fun. Yeah, that was amazing. So, and that composer, that's what that composer did. You know what I mean? The score for Silent Hill, that stuff is great. And so you need somebody who actually is not embarrassed to be doing video game music, right? That's That's what you need. And if you can have that, then you'll have really good music. But if you have somebody who always wishes they were a film music composer because they think that film music composition is somehow automatically better, you're not going to have a good, it's not going to be very good. It's like that's not going to be good. So here we are. And I went downstairs. Maybe I need to get up there somehow. So maybe let's go back in and up to the 3rd floor and see if we can get outside that way. And that might be the way we need to go. This is my new thought. That we need to go all the way upstairs and then out, and that might do it. New thought. So, and like I remember people saying things like, oh, you know what would be so great if we could have like a Mass Effect film. And I was like, oh, that would be awful. Like, don't you understand that, yeah, if you treat your video game like a movie, you're gonna have a bad time. Yeah, I think that the idea, could you imagine a Mass Effect film? It would not be good because Mass Effect is great because it's a video game, because you have hundreds of hours, right? You know what I mean? And that if you were to do that, you would have to, well, that's locked. You would have to, like a lot of what, or here's another example of what would not work out well as a film. BioShock. Part of what makes BioShock work is that you are controlling that character. You could do the setting. Sure, you could use the setting. You could do that. But you couldn't do the story of the Mass Effect trilogy in a movie. Like it wouldn't be like you could make your own original story. You could do that, right? That like you could, but you'd have to make a thing that is a film, that is meant to be a film, that was conceived of as a film, as opposed to trying to just. But also the problem with the, who's your shepherd going to be? Some dude? There are a bunch of people who are like, but my shepherd's a woman. And also part of what makes a number of these things work is that you are, as a player, are making the choices. It's like it's like part of the twist in BioShock only works when you're actually playing it. And the plot is not the best plot, but it's a good plot for a thing that's interactive in terms of interactive fiction. And that works less. You know what I mean? Like to sort of boil 70 or 80 hours into a 2-hour film that takes away all of the interactivity and then decides what the one, like it's not gonna work out as well. I think that it would be something, but let me put it this way. A lot of people think that video game films don't work because video games are bad, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it's that the medium are different.
Sweet stars. But that is a beautiful sound. Can you hear me? We are a go for broadcast. Oh, and I also dispatched Phineas his data. Impatient prick. Worse, I'm now indebted to him for it. Now I'll kindly thank you to get out of my tower.
Happily, I won't bother you again.
I am well aware that at times I may have the tiniest iota of a prickly exterior, but I must admit I have grown rather fond of you. As Nyoka can attest, I do not form attachments with many. Do take care.
Why, he told us to leave without flinging insults at our persons. He really does like you, Captain.
Hmm?
Anyone else hear a high-pitched whining?
Uh-oh.
Tinnitus, or is that just Hiram?
Uh-oh. Oh no. What is this? What is this? What's going on?
Black holes. Did you see that?
Name game.
Oh. That was bad. The name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F or an M will appear. And then I say bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Unimportant hero, unimportant hero, unimportant hero, but unimportant hero, banana, fanner, foe, fun, important hero, fee, fi, mo, unimportant hero. Unimportant hero. You're totally important. I did not get very far into this game. I got to rebuild up my curiosity for it at some point. We have gotten very far in this game. It has just taken us a while to get there, you know. I think you're right, Krellin, that you could probably do a TV show or a miniseries. It's like trying to turn a romance novel into an action movie, totally different genres. Yeah, like you could probably do it. Like I think you could do something Mass Effect in a way that would, or like KOTOR in a way that would work as a miniseries or TV show. Those, I feel like that would probably work better. Silent Hill worked really well as a film. I thought that worked really well. But Silent Hill as a video game is actually pretty short. Is not a particularly long video game. It's also survival horror, not RPG. Like I think some things work better than others, sort of translated. Fun important, yes, fun important hero. So I think some things work better than others, but I always notice that people are always like, oh, if we could make a, you know, oh, like we won't have made it unless we can make film versions of our video games, like betraying a real sense of insecurity in the video game as a medium, as if they think that video games are somehow less artistic and more shameful. And of course, it doesn't help that like Roger Ebert said that video games aren't art, which of course they totally are, and that's dumb. But you don't need Hollywood to accept you for you to be considered valuable. Like video games are art and they're their own art, and it's fine. You don't have to be embarrassed that you're a video game. Horror games are probably the easiest games to adapt to movies. I think that's true. Unimportant says, ooh, I wanted the one woman in the Silent Hill movie, the butchy one who got burned. I wanted her to come back as some kind of burnt monster to mess up those cultists. Yes, that would be awesome. Whose ship was that?
Looks like a UDL ship. Based on the gunnery attachments, I guess it's one of the board's blockade enforcers, but don't cite me on that.
Huh.
Oh well, a pity for the crew, but I can't see how it affects me.
Oh.
Hiram? Can you hear me?
Rissa, yes.
Did you see that?
We're gonna get further and save.
Sanjar, what are you bloody doing on my channel? Did MSI or did MSI not cease broadcasting? Yes, but... Hiram, are you there?
Oh. It's a reunion. Group hug.
Not without a physical contact waiver. The good captain. The truth brings us together once more. Our salvation has come crashing through the stratosphere. We need only collect its weapons. Are you mad? That's a UDL gunship. You'd probably shoot your own toes off.
Surely we can talk this over.
I see you learned nothing while dealing with these buffoons. We could use the gunship's armaments to defend Stellar Bay, but we need its targeting module. Our message is so close to breaking free of this planet and spreading to the stars. Help us secure that module and we will save our colony. Listen, I don't care a single whit what you do so long as you leave me out of it. Which means, get off my boy damn channel. I'm more than finished with you lot.
Note, this is a thing you cannot do on television or film. This moment where I'm being forced to decide what I want to do about this problem, right? Gonna have to ponder that one. So look, here's the thing. Coming back to this thought, because I think this is like really important. I think about this a lot. So I think I think about Medium a lot. So I think that there are, you could do it on, you could do it like with that Black Mirror episode, right? The Bandersnatch, was it? Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you could do that. But then some people would be like, "Oh no, you're not doing right." You know, you could do it. That would be interesting. It would be a little bit different because then people don't get to have their individual experience, but it would be closer. It wouldn't be the same, but it would be closer. Yeah, you could do that. It would be a little bit different, but it would be interesting. And I'm all for experimenting. But the thing is that I think that streamed RPGs are cool, and I think they can do things that TV and film cannot do. And they do, and one of the things I think they can do that TV and film cannot do, by the way, what are we going to do right now? What is this? Oh, yeah. We're going to go and receive this. We've got some tasks that we can complete, but we're going to go and we're going to get that targeting module. That's what we're going to do. I think people who play stream RPGs are also cool. Yeah, I think they are too. And the thing is, what I'm thinking is, oh, hello. Excuse me for one moment. I'm going to switch my weapons to this sniper rifle, and I'm going to shoot this in the head. It's going to be really cool. If it stops moving, stop moving. Calm down. There we go. And then I'm going to do some shooting. So here's the thing, and this is like the kind of the realization from today. One of the things that RPGs can do, that streamed RPGs can do, that other medium can't do, in a way that I shot my parrot dog thing, that I think is really cool. And it is this thing that, because it is not scripted, the players do not know what is going to happen. And because players sometimes get player tunnel vision, where they stop thinking outside of their character's viewpoint, that means that the players may not see something coming that the audience sees coming. And there are ways in which that can be sometimes enhanced, like sometimes you and I can chat and we can have some little conversations where we discuss some things, and then, you know, I think that's not the way I want to go. I think I need to go this other direction. So there's this really cool thing wherein sometimes you have a moment that you can't actually have in a scripted TV show. Well, it depends. That depends. But in a script, that's there are some iffinesses there. But like, actors in a scripted TV show have read the script, right? So they know what's happening. Now, some shows like Game of Thrones will like hide things from them till the very end. Or do things like that. But I mean, generally speaking, they have the script, they have to memorize the lines, they know what's going on in a way that, you know, they know before the audience. It's hard to surprise the actors like they did with, yes, right. It's really hard to do that. Like, it's really hard to do that. Okay. Well. Oh, hey, guess what? That was a bad choice. That was a bad choice, everyone. I jumped off a cliff, and I should not have done that. That was me. I jumped off a cliff. Jumped off a cliff. Yeah, they all learned that. Right. I mean, so like, it's hard to do that, and what's interesting about the streamed RPG is that this can be an ongoing thing, right? Where, because the players never know where it's going to go. They don't know what's going to happen. Neither does the audience, but sometimes the audience can see what's happening because the players sometimes get a little bit too invested. They get what Wizard style is called, like, you know, the player tunnel vision. And so sometimes the audience can see things that oh. Hello. Well, this is the last time.
Name game.
Oh! The name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B on F, on M will appear. And then I say bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. And then I say the name again with an F very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can rhyme. Half-housed hermit, half-housed hermit, half-housed hermit, bo baff-housed hermit, banana, fanner, fo, faff-housed hermit, fee, fi, mo, maff-housed hermit. Half-housed hermit. Thank you for that resub. Oh, all the resub. Thank you, Lone Koo. You know, we're clearing out in about 5 minutes or so, Lone Koo, so you won't be missing much. I'm going to try to get myself to the other side of that space. The name game from the TTS is hilarious to me. Yeah, you know, this is my I don't want to get hit by RIAA being ridiculous. I mean, maybe it's all calmed down and I don't have to worry about it as much anymore, but you know, I don't trust them so much is what it is. We're going to just fast travel here, I suppose. I suppose we'll fast travel here. Yeah, let's do that. And then we'll just walk over and it'll be pleasant. So like, how cool is that? I love the fact that you all right now can observe some dramatic irony. Oh no, it's escalating. Or the Twitch knee jerk. Don't forget to change the label on the VOD because this is very cool. Oh yeah, no, thank you, Rissa. I will do that. Trooper, not trust corporations. I don't know why. Corporations have only been 100% good for people and humanity as a whole. I told like 1890s, it was great. Yeah, so there are some really cool things that you can get in a streamed RPG that you can't even get in an off target RPG. And what I mean by that is that kind of particular dramatic irony. Why are people fighting up here? What's going on over there? Why are people fighting? I don't think I have to worry about this. I think I can just walk on by. Hey, everybody, with your worriness. If we didn't have corporations, then how would we convince people they're only worth $7 an hour? That's true. That's true, Beetleins. What would we do? We might start getting all sorts of self-esteem and we might have a sense of self-worth not tied to productivity. And what would happen then if we like loved ourselves for all sorts of things other than how much we can generate for other people? I don't even know. So look, okay, so here's the thing. When I'm running a game off stream, when there's dramatic irony, I'm the only one who gets to see it as a GM, and I don't get to share it with anyone. There's no one else who sees it, and that's so sad. I mean, it's fine, it is what it is. Nobody else sees it, it's fine, whatever. But in a streamed RPG, I am not alone. There are other people who can see the dramatic irony. There are people besides myself who can be like, ooh, oh, that's a bad idea, right? And I'm gonna just point out that that makes me so happy that I am not the only one, that I don't have to, you know, that there can be other, oh, hey. Okay, well, do that. Also, maybe you should also do that. Do some killing. Just. Yeah, just. What's happening? Oh, okay.
They won't try that again.
Okay, we're good. Why does that laser gun even have a hammer? That's a good question. I'm not certain why there's a laser gun hammer going on, but there is. Maybe it's oh, speaking of, I could probably sell a couple more things like this stuff, but this probably goes into trash, right? So it's probably an auto sell. These sorts of animal parts, probably like these glands. It's probably just free money, right? Yes, maybe. Customer, I want a laser gun hammer. Don't. It's the customer. That's what it is. The customer's like, laser gun hammer. Yeah. So I just think there's something really cool about this little other element that you only get in a streamed RPG.
Game.
The name game. Come on, everybody. I say, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name. I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F. Or an M will appear. And then I say bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and fo. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. And Bar Garwin, and Bar Garwin, Bar Garwin, Bar Garwin, banana, fanner, fo, Bar Garwin, fee, fi, mo, Bar Garwin, and Bar Garwin. So this is what it is. First off, thank you so much for that 17-month of resub on Bar Garwin. So here's the trick. I have got it out. The penultimate syllable has to have emphasis. So that's the trick, that you need to be able to frame the name in such a way as the penultimate syllable has the emphasis. Emphasis. And if you can't do it, it is going to be tricky. So that is what you want, right? You want, hey, Manta Queen, how are you? Somebody do some killing, right? Oh, I am, you're right, I am. I'm hurt. I'm hurt. Everybody, I'm hurt. There's a Mega Manta Queen. Oh my gosh. Hold on. I need to back away. Back away. Oh, hey, how you doing? Mega Manta Queen. Oh my gosh. Somebody do some shooting. Kill people. Mega Manta Queen. Oh no. Leave me alone. Don't die. Oh no. My friends. Don't die. Oh no. Mega Manta Queen. Everything. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Enemy's dead. There's more of them. Help. Do that. No, wrong button. This one. Other button. That one. That's the one. Here we go. People, what's happening? No. I'm all out of love. Manta Swarms. I'm here to save you. I'm sorry about your eyes. Kill the things. I'm here for you. Ellie's dead. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I was distracted for a moment. There was a thing that was happening, and I was a little distracted. After Hipping Storm, I'm not going to take this. I don't want the phobia. It does not seem useful at all to me in any way at all. I'm going to repair all of my equipment. It's a lot of parts. It's fine. We're okay now. It's fine. We're fine. That's it. There's no, that's it. 47% funded for those radios if any latecomers want to contribute their extra credit. Yeah, because we're going to go off, and if you want to contribute some extra credit to some radios, you will help them. You will help our heroes in City of Light and Shadow, the Fate French Resistance game, get radios, which will help them in the long run, because it will be easier for them to not die, and etc. Where are we headed? We're headed this way. We're gonna keep walking as I start talking about the end of the stream. I like giving players asides and meanwhile sometimes to ramp up dramatic ire at the table. Usually to set community challenge 50%. Hey everybody, community challenge 50% completed. Yes. Okay. 50% completed. We're almost there. We've got 2 weeks to finish it. I like giving players asides and meanwhile somewise to ramp up dramatic ire at the table, usually to set expectations, like the danger and whatnot, about a villain or location in advance. I just put the players or player in the position of someone in the meanwhile scene and give them control. Oh yeah, but see the thing is, here's what's really cool and important. We were talking about the ways in which, because players sometimes get too invested in their character and sometimes cannot see outside of their character, the players miss will miss things that are clearly foreshadowed, and so they miss it because they're not paying attention, because they're too in the moment. But what's going on? I think I'm being attacked. I am being attacked. That's what's happening right now. What's happening right now is that there's one that's up in my face, like up. Okay, up in my face. That's just. Also, I would like my friends not to die. I would like also not to die. Oh hi. Nope. Leave me alone. That's it. Here, some of this. Right. You know, there's a lot going on right now that involves a lot of poison and damage, and I find that inappropriate. Someone's attacking us. Who's doing it? Where's this attack coming from?
Everyone all right?
I think so. Except that you're like, you know, on the face of death, everyone. Oh my gosh. So like it's this kind of very interesting thing when you've given the players the foreshadowing, but they don't see it because they're too wrapped up in their mind, right? They're too wrapped up in their character, like that they just kind of miss some of this foreshadowing, but then the audience doesn't miss the foreshadowing. And that is this like really cool thing that you only get. And then of course, so there is a GM payoff when you give the players foreshadowing and the players don't see it. There is an exciting GM payoff, and that exciting GM payoff happens when the reveal happens and the players are like, oh my gosh, that was there all along and we totally didn't see it. And then that's exciting for me as a GM. But it's also really exciting as a GM in a stream game when you lay that foreshadowing down, or you tell them that their plan might be really, really bad, and they don't see it even though you tell them, but the audience definitely 100% sees it, and you see the audience seeing it, and the audience is like, oh no, don't do that thing, but the players don't see it. That is this like really deliciously exciting thing that you just only get in streamed RPGs. It's this thing that is very special to just streamed RPGs. And I love that. I'm gonna just kill this right now, by the way. Also, clearly we're gonna be attacked by things. Who are we being attacked by? What else are we being attacked by? Oh, well, not much, so we're fine. It's fine, don't even worry about it. By the way, I'm gonna be going right about now. Our game is, I just wanna get to the ship, right? If you wanna know what I'm doing, I'm just heading towards the ship. If I can get to the ship, not in a thing, then this will be a good stopping point for us, because we'll know what we're doing. It'll be a good stopping point, and everything will be grand. Because I assume this is going to be a thing you have to explore a little bit more heavily. So we're going to end it right here, because that's not the button. This is the button. Because you know, this is a good place to save it. And I can claim that we did a lot of really good productive stuff, which we totally did. So that's really good. And now I've got to see what all you are saying in the chat. I'm so excited about that. Don't hit her. They have so little food and so much ammo. Don't save the mantis swarms. No. You know, these big slow moving fireballs can't hit me out of the way. That's true. 50% of our radio is not a passing grade. Half a radio would be spare parts. So now we show London's excellency, and I so want to see Let's Punch His Face have to cough up the radios. Yeah, that moment is super exciting as a GM. I love that. The only productivity in this game is selling your stuff. And I did that too. I did. I sold my stuff. I was selling stuff. It was really good. So everyone, I want to thank you for what was like a really great conversation. And I know what my first vlog is gonna be. My first vlog is gonna be about the difference between blinders and bleed, and I'm going to put that out there in the universe, and I'm really excited about it. And I want to thank all of you for contributing to our radios. I mean, well, actually, I think the players should should thank you. What a great stream. This was a really great stream, everybody. I really appreciated it. I really enjoyed it very much. We were productive. We got to talk really cool things. I have got a meeting to go to where I'm going to be talking about RPG theory a little bit, and then I've got work to do. But you can find, so first up, if you want to, you can follow and also subscribe, which I think that's all probably down here, or maybe it's down here. They've changed the layout, so I'm not quite certain where it is. So, you know, but you can also, if you want, join our Discord. We have a Discord. It's pretty awesome. It's boss, as people might say. We're very friendly there. Also, you can find the record, the archive of all of the shows that I've done on my YouTube channel, which is at Trooper SJP, which is the same name as this channel. I'm going to, that's where I'll put the blogs. Also, if you would like, you can follow me on Twitter at Academic Foxhole, where I try to bring nuance to Twitter. You know, this is what I try to do. Also, I have a Patreon, and that Patreon is also Academic Foxhole, and that Patreon is specifically to fund RPGs on my channel. It's what I use to pay the cast, also pay artists or the composers. Right now, all funds are going towards paying the cast of City of Light and Shadow. Also, I'm going to be paying Frithiel for some slightly new overlays to make your experience a little bit better. I am currently not being paid. I think we're about at $140 a month right now on our Patreon, which is really great. Tips and bits during the show also really helps. And that I'm paying them $25 a show, which is a little bit less than minimum wage. It's about minimum wage. It's not great. And yeah, it's like, it's not 100%. It's like a little bit less, and it's not the best, but it is what it is. And so the $140 from Patreon pays for about an episode a half a month, and any tips and bits that come in help sort of supplement anything else I pay for out of pocket. So if you want to help support in the Patreon, you don't have to. That any support you give is voluntary and appreciated, but you don't have to. Do what you need to do. If you don't have money, that's fine. The best thing you can do is just watch the show, and either on VOD or on YouTube, wherever, or live, chat, so, you know, give support in your own way, and all of that is useful and helpful and is much appreciated. So that's it. Trooper tries to bring nuance to Twitter because I love futility, probably. So you can find me next week. You can find me on Thursday here on this channel, where we will continue Wandersong, driving towards an end, hopefully at some point. And then you can find me on Friday at 1 p.m. for Aether's Walkway at Love Laugh Lindy's channel, 7 p.m. Eastern on my channel for Call of City of Light and Shadow episode 3, which is a solo episode with Tango, and then back here on Saturday for the Outer Worlds. So that's it. Take care of yourselves. Be kind. Be good. Thank you for all the subscriptions and the follows. Thank you for all the support. Your support is very meaningful to me, and I appreciate it very much. I'm gonna go and eat some food. I've got some food over there, and I'm gonna go eat it. So take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you on the flip side, everybody. Take care.